Hey everybody, it's me, Michael McGlynn, and I am here with my beautiful friend and co-host,
Oh, Jonathan Moody, I'm beautiful. All right,
of course,
sweet.
and my
Oh,
also equally beautiful guest tonight, writer, director, actress. Please tell us your beautiful name. We know you, we love you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Atkins.
Yay, Shannon!
Shannon. Shannon's been on a couple of my shows, and she really wanted to see Michael. That was her big thing.
Well, although I remember when you invited Mary Kate on, I was like, I kind of like this idea about inviting a guest on and stuff. I think it was kind of cool. And I saw Shannon, and kind of was like, oh my God, that's actually perfect. Well, I'm like, hey, Shannon, let's bring her on.
I also like bringing in women because it gives us a different perspective, for horror film lovers, and everything. Because we can talk about as Paul always says, we can talk about the nerdy white guy stuff, but it's also nice to have nerdy white women as well, or any women at that matter, But thank you, Shannon, for coming on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Now, Michael told me that this was your favorite movie. How did he know that?
So that's actually a good question. I think that I had posted that I was watching this one night and Michael had commented on it and we had kind of gone back and forth. And I know that that was like a while ago. So I was like, when you told me that he said, "Oh, that's your favorite movie." First of all, that's a good friend. For you to even remember that I had said that so long ago, that's a good friend.
Right. And I'm really bad at that shit, remembering all that stuff. So I'm glad there's somebody like Michael who still has his complete brain intact, and everything can remember all that stuff.
Oh, that's actually sad. We're relying on me.
By the way, I want to tell you guys, happy Friday the 13th. This is Friday the 13th when we're doing this, not releasing it, but doing it. I'm drinking out of my Jason mug. And guess what I'm drinking, guys?
Bloody Mary?
No, Earl tea.
Earl T.
Oh, Earl T from the movie.
They mentioned it in the movie, and I was like, "Hey,
A
I've got
lot.
that."
Oh, I
Yeah,
love Earl Grey.
Earl Grey, Earl Grey. That's what I
I
meant.
love
Earl
Earl
Grey.
Grey.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Earl Grey tea. God, I don't drink tea much. I only drink it at night usually to calm me down because from my caffeine, craziness.
I
But
do
it
love
tastes
the mug.
good.
The
What?
mug is awesome.
Yeah, I want to say I got that from Dark Delicacies. It's a shop in Burbank, California, and I saw it. I was like, I need to have it, and it's chipped, sadly. So not 100% okay, but it's still mine. So anyway, why don't you tell us about the movie we're reviewing?
Who? Me or Shannon?
Well, you, of course, because you're the host of the show.
I'm so horrible at this, Shannon, for forgiving.
Whatever, all the lives that you do every single night, you are not shy to being on the camera.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. So we chose tonight Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I've always been a big fan of this one myself. I know obviously it's one of Shannon's favorites. I know actually John actually said the same thing. Jonathan's actually is also a fan of this film. It's a fun, different take. It kicks off a fun little horror comedy nostalgia, and it brings you into a totally different direction than you would ever expect.
Mhm.
With uh, I just can't think of any other movie out there that really kind of matches that kind of style, of what they did as far as the deaths in the film, how they all
Mhm.
came about and everything. It's like I really just thought, I was like, wow, this is just such an interesting, fresh new take, and it was very entertaining.
So we had done this, well, not you and me, but me and Sarah Atkins, who's my other co-host that was on the show before you and everything. We had done this, and then we talked about that because you were like, can we do Tucker and Dale versus Evil? I said, well, we already did that, so we'd have to pick something else. Well, the reason I chose it is because you hadn't done it yet, and I figured Why not? So this will basically be Tucker and Dale versus Evil Redux redo, you know. So
Love it.
I'm excited because it gives a different perspective and maybe we'll say things we didn't say. I did not listen to the other one, so I'm just hoping we just touch on things that wasn't, brought up and I'm sure we will, you know.
Oh, I definitely agree. One funny thing you kind of can look at this movie to a certain degree when you really think about it is I was actually thinking about it. Funny enough, on my drive home tonight because I knew we were doing a podcast and I was kind of like regurgitating the movie over my head. And sometimes it's kind of fun because I actually got caught in a little bit of traffic, so I let my mind actually drift a little bit. And I kind of came up with a small little epiphany. I was like, outside of the Chad characters, like there were really no good guys, bad guys in this one. I mean, when you really, really stop to think about it, it was all just a matter of perspective. I mean, her friends really thought that she was in trouble and they were trying
Hmm.
to save her, and they all thought they were just going batshit crazy in their car.
Right. Do you know what I like so much about this movie is that she's the final girl. She's
Mm.
a final girl, but she's not a final girl like in the other movies. She's not fighting for her life the entire movie. She just needs to live at the end. And I guess you would still consider her a final girl. I've read reviews and stuff where they still call her a final girl, but it's not like the other movies. Like every single final girl is constantly running, fighting. They're just fighting for their life the entire movie. She has more of a chance of killing herself with her clumsiness and everything. I think that's why I like it so much because, like, I know you guys have seen my posts. I'm the clumsiest person in the world, and every single time something happened, I'm like, that would be me. I would knock
Right.
myself out with a shovel. I would fall down in a ditch. Like, it would happen.
Would you go inside the wood chipper? That's the question.
I
I
can't
hope
say
not.
I can't say that that wouldn't happen. That I wouldn't be running and trip over something and then end up in there.
Yeah. It was
No, no, no.
I just like that look of Tucker's face when he sees the kid go into it and everything and like the realization that some as he thought some kid had jumped into the
Uh-huh.
wood chipper, like he didn't think this was it's what's known as a comedy of errors,
Yep.
so
Hmm.
like one of my favorite movies, indie movies, is called Dorm Days. It's like National Lampoon's Dorm Days. I don't know if you guys ever seen it or not,
Hmm.
but that's a comedy of errors. Like, it's also co-written by the guys who did Sonic the Hedgehog and Violet Night. And I've interviewed both of those guys, and I've actually met one of the screenwriters in person. But what Dorm Days did that was so cool was that it was sort of like it was a college sex comedy thing with the idea of comedy of errors. And so this did the same thing. This did a comedy of errors but for horror. And you don't get that kind of, I mean, there was whatever the comedy of terror, but I don't think that had any comedy of errors at all in it, if I'm correct. That was just the title, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
um you would know, Michael? I thought you would. You're more the guy who knows all the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and that kind of stuff.
like the only thing I can think of in comparison to the comedy of kind of horror sequence, but when I name it, like to be perfectly honest with you, like Tucker and Dale still stands as its own, and I would actually probably put Scary Movie in that mix, where
Yeah.
like it was a series of comedy events that caused deaths and murders and stuff.
Right. But that's a parody.
Exactly. I mean, and
I,
that's what I said,
I,
and the way they did went about it was different. Tucker and Dale broke new ground in my opinion.
well, because it wasn't making fun of the genre, but it was sort of making fun of the genre, if you think about it. Like, it wasn't doing it like it was subtly making fun of the genre. Like, it would have scenes where the stuff happens and you're like, oh my God, there's all that gore and all the like the really I'm not surprised you love this movie, Michael, because you love Hatchet. and that's it got extreme blood that just like, flies all over the place and all that stuff that normally wouldn't happen in real life, but in a movie it looks cool.
Oh, I definitely agree. And that definitely did have some of its charm. I mean, the story alone was good. Like, and a lot along the way, there was like, it was a series of like, and just a lot. Man, I feel so bad. Like one of the biggest ones in the bunch has to be poor darn Tucker. I mean, that guy got put through the ringer, and like, when you really think about it too, a lot of him going through the ringer, what he went through was for his friend, and all because
I
his friend
Yeah.
was actually like in love with someone and stuff, and he actually like took a. I want to say the man took multiple bullets for his friend on that one.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah, yeah, you're right because he doesn't even get the girl in the end, and he did all the stuff like he went through all that pain, and he doesn't even. And at the end of the thing, he's still asking, Dale if he asked the girl out, right? Like he
Mhm.
cares about his friends so much, and he knew that they went through all that stuff. They better be freaking dating by the end of it, in my opinion. Which brings me up to a question I wanted to ask you, Shannon. As a woman who watches this movie, I mean, were you attracted to Dale at all, or you know, what did you think?
Absolutely. If you can make me laugh, then you're in.
You're
And
in.
Dale was just he was hilarious, but he was so nice and he was so considerate to her. And you could tell just from the beginning, like when they first, I mean, when he tries to talk to her at the gas station,
Mm-hmm.
there's two other girls there, but he wanted to talk to her.
Yeah. He
Like
had
he
more
already had
interest.
his sights set on her.
Yeah, he saw her, I think, in the gas station, like the market or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and was, smitten by her. And there was
Mm-hmm.
just something about her that he was attracted to, not because, and it's funny because she is the nicest one of them all. Like they're all, uh, most of the girls are nice. The one girl, I'm thinking she was maybe Indian or something, or like half Indian or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. She was a little meaner, and but I think they needed that, you know. They needed somebody who could sort of match with Chad, and stuff like that because otherwise it would just be like, three girls or so that are, kind of not, kind of milk toast. They're kind of boring, kind of thing. And, I liked each, I think each character was a character, which was nice, you know. Um, except maybe that guy in the back there, with the Where's Waldo shirt. Like I kind of felt like he was sort of like, I don't know, he was kind of the boringest of them all, in my opinion, of all the characters. But
Well, everyone picked on the poor guy.
what? I'm
Everyone,
picking on him?
yeah, no, everybody was always picking on
Yeah.
the movie. I was like, so it was like, well, it was like, we went, I was like, I'll go get the car. I was like, I don't blame the guy. You're all mean to him anyway. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he gets away. Good for him.
He's the one who leaves and go gets the sheriff, man. That sheriff did not like them from the very beginning. And he finds them. So he finds them like where it looks like they're performing a sexual act on each other. I don't know what I can say on Podbean or whatnot, but uh, and then he doesn't even question it or say anything. Like
That's the best.
it's just like, does he just like assume they're like that? Like they're, you know?
That sheriff clearly comes from the don't ask, don't tell generation.
Yes. The whole
Um,
movie, the other than the college kids, the whole movie has a very southern vibe to it.
Hmm.
mhm. Yeah, it's got a little deliverance to it to me. Like, I was kind of surprised that, like, I mean, okay, so the beginning of the movie has it where you see like all this stuff happening, all these murders and everything happening or whatever. And then later we find out about the whole hillbilly massacre kind of thing that he at least Chad was sort of told about. Do you think that happened the way that because it's coming from Chad's perspective and story, and I think his grandmother told him it, right?
It was something like like along those lines, and then obviously we find out later on that his mother was like a part of that whole massacre, and he was one of the birth ones,
Yeah.
which like I like the twist, but it definitely throws it a lot more into like, wow, you're really trying to nail this one down home real tight.
Hmm.
Uh, I felt like the charm might have been a little better if you didn't make it so connected. Like, just kept it as you're all talking about before. Like, just a series of bad comical events that leads up to this. I mean, because they already wrote him in as being a douchey guy, so he could have still, been the way he is
Hmm.
without that. That was just a last minute avail that I don't think really added anything, and to a degree, I'm just like, well, that's really specific. I mean, they are from some college, and they decided to go to some cabin, some like random like place to go hang out and party that just also happens to be where your mom was like taking
Well,
in a massacre and giving
he
birth to you.
he knew about that though. And so I think he picked that place because he was, it was part of his family, thing, or whatever, because he picked it. Because they said like, who decided to have us come out here or whatever. And then I think one of the girls also goes, Chad, and I was like, oh, so the douche, brought everybody out to this place, and now that he's connected to the whole thing, it sort of comes full circle in my opinion, What, you
Well,
don't think so?
No, I'm just ashamed of you for defending the bad guy.
I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that the
I I
go
think
ahead,
he took
Shannon.
them out there. I do think he took them out there on purpose, but I think he took them out there because he wanted to tell the story.
Right. I think he wanted to tell the story. He wanted it to be all about him because he's a douche, and
I
everything.
agree with that.
And then just so happens that they picked the wrong time, you know, and everything. Just bad stuff happens. I mean, starting with Allison falling and going into the lake and and everything. And it doesn't help when the people that are scary to them are like, "We got your friend." Like that. It sounds like they're
Let her go.
yeah, thinking that they're kidnapping her, when really they're just trying to save her, or whatever.
Well, that's what think this whole movie is a movie of karma
I agree.
and judgment.
I definitely agree. But you know what actually is kind of cool about it too, because I do agree with you completely, Shannon. It definitely has that whole karma and judgment kind of tone to it, but it almost has like because Jonathan mentioned earlier, it does have a little bit of an old 1920s like Abbott Costello kind of like twist to it, like as far as like how the karma and their judgment gets them killed and stuff. It's like the act of it is very Abbott Costello-ish, I guess you could say, but yeah, the whole premise of why they even got to that position is like you said, it's just karma and just poor judgment.
Hmm. Yeah. And it was judgment of others too, you
Yeah.
know, and that I think brought karma, and I think this is, even though this doesn't have like an in your face agenda to show you anything like how movies are sort of made today, where you know full well what they're trying to tell you, and this I think a little bit subtly they're trying to tell you that like don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a person by their looks. Like I asked Shannon if she would have been attracted to this guy, and the truth is some people still wouldn't, like they're just maybe the beard is something that throws them off and they don't like, or the attitude, his kindness is like repellent to them, or whatever. But I'm
Which
so
I love
what?
your beard.
Oh, you love my beard? Thank you.
I do because I'm sorry, we were on the topic of beards. I've been meaning to say something about. I was like, I love the beard, by the way, bro.
Yeah, I get different things from different people,
Oh,
so
it looks, it makes you look very distinguished.
well, I don't know about that or not, but thank you. I appreciate that. It doesn't make me feel any different than I already am, you know? So whether and see that's another thing, looks, you know? Like somebody looks at those guys and they think hillbillies, right? They think rednecks, which they are, but they, they're just themselves, and they're not harming anybody. They're not like creepy, but when you see uh Dale, wanting to go talk to Allison and he's carrying that scythe in his hand and he's walking with it. I'm like, dude, you gotta drop the scythe, man. It does not make you look good. It makes you look threatening. And when she said this stuff about creepy, or whatever, I wanted her to go, well, you're holding that thing, like it looked dangerous. I mean, I'm not actually surprised that they were kind of scared, a
Yeah.
little bit. And he was walking really creepy too, like the way he was walking, and then he was nervously laughing, like his friend told him to do. Like all of that stuff makes him look creepy, but he's not. He's just like this harmless teddy bear, guy or whatever. And he's so harmless that everybody dies around him, like he couldn't kill anybody, or whatever. So,
Well,
like, well, go ahead.
they had to do that because it starts off, that's the beginning of the movie
Right.
almost. So, they had to do that to make us as the audience think that maybe they are a little threatening.
Mhm.
Well, maybe. I think because I did get that from the very second you meet these guys. They're not threatening. And when you see them walking like that, you can tell he's doing it like non-threatening, like, but it does still to those people's eyes, he's scary. And I get it. Like, I hate to say it. If that guy walked up to me like that, I'd be like, yo, whoa, what's going on, dude? Drop the weapon before you come talk to me. You know? I get what they're saying with the judgment. Like that's something that we'd all have. I don't think any one of us could say that if we saw something like that, we would go, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" Like have a, feel
Um,
normal conversation. Would you?
I really don't think I don't think it would scare me.
I'm gonna say,
Mhm.
like, I don't know why, but I just like see Shane just be totally oblivious. Like someone could be holding a big sickle and she's like, so like, have you been having a big day?" Like, I don't know why. I see that. I see that very organically happening. I'm like
Whenever I see those sky things, I think of like the Grim Reaper, you know? So like whenever I see that, if I saw somebody walking over, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I would not. I guess I'm different than Shannon, and I think also Shannon wouldn't freak out because you are way more of a horror girl than a lot of other girls I know. You would definitely be like 100% okay with with this stuff because you wouldn't be scared, you'd just be like, hey, what's up? Now if he started to like look like he was gonna kill you, then yes, I'm pretty sure you'd be like running for the hills or whatever. But if somebody just walked up to you, you know and whatnot, I don't know. I
Well, I
just
think that goes back to like judging a book by its cover. I've had guys walk up to me that are in full suits, clean shaven, typical, everyday business guy, and have scared the hell out of me, have just given me the creepiest feeling. And
and
then
then
you
you
got, the regular guys or the guys that we hang out with all the time that most people would just be like, oh, where I feel like they're
speaking.
literally family.
Well, I mean, especially when it comes to like horror conventions and stuff like that, there are people who love horror, and when they love horror, it comes off like they love horror. So they wear horror shirts and everything like that. And I'm wearing one right now. I'm wearing my Jason shirt, you know.
I
But
have
like,
on the new Bloody Summer Camp 2 shirt.
oh,
Can you see
wow,
it?
there you go.
you feel bad. I'm rocking Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo's still cool. Like that works. But
My the producer that she's like, I wear your shirt. I'm like, wow, I'm kind of laming it out. Like,
well, he just saw a green shirt. I don't think he even recognized it was a bloody summer camp, did you, Mike?
what's that?
You didn't recognize it was bloody summer camp, did you?
Oh, I didn't. I couldn't know. I couldn't recognize that at first until she pulled it up more. Like, oh wait, it is.
That's awesome. But see, there you go. She knew you were going to be on, so she wanted to surprise you with that. That's sweet.
I did, and I had mentioned on Michael and Dave's live the other night that I was going to wear it on the podcast.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, so there you go. She didn't disappoint.
oh, I appreciate you.
I love it. I'm so glad you guys finally did green.
Oh,
Wait, is that your favorite color?
Yes.
Yes, mine too. High
I
five.
do actually.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love green. Like I especially love the dark like forestry or like the dark olive greens. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I like that darker greenish tone.
I think I got into it because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was young. And so I've always liked green ever then since then and whatnot. Just think it looks cool. And so I 100% agree. So I might have to buy that Bloody Summer Camp 2 t-shirt at some point.
Definitely, you should. Do you guys still have it on the crowdfunder? So we
Oh,
can
we sure.
promote everything tonight.
Well,
I'm always trying to help.
Dave is definitely going to fire me and hire you. Like you didn't even plug it once. Shannon was wearing the shirt and plugged the help on. You're fired.
this is what happens, man. People lose their jobs on this show. You know. So yeah, I love that. And so to get back to Tucker and Dale versus Eve,
Yeah,
we go a little off. I mean, that's actually not that bad. We sometimes go off way off topic, so watch out for that. That might just happen. But I when I there's a lot of really cool stuff in this movie, and the special effects were awesome. The deaths were cool. Because you weren't expecting a lot of them. I I thought it was kind of neat that like even though I do not like smoking, I'm not a big smoking fan and everything. That Shalon Simmons did light up or whatever at the end when she knew she was gonna die, pretty much from it. She was just like, screw it, at that moment. And that actually was, with the poor vacation home, that these hillbillies had that just blew up at the end, you know. Like I guess they're never gonna take a vacation again after that. That's what they said, you know.
it was their vacation home. Like that was your
I
dream.
know, and it makes you feel so bad.
I did. I felt bad for him too because I knew some people who watched like so what it was a rundown shack. I was like, yeah, but you don't get it though. Like that's their getaway. They have their own like jobs they go to and their own homes
Hmm.
they go to. That's their little getaway for them to go out fishing and just do and do their time and stuff. Because I mean, I used to go out fishing with all my buddies, like back in the day, because like I was raised like in Clifton, Virginia. There's tons of lakes and everything all over the place.
Hmm.
So we used to travel all around, hike for miles just to fish and stuff. And yeah, I mean, the times you get to have just to hang out, the conversation
Mhm.
you get to have, like I don't know. In a lot of ways it's unmatched, and like to have that kind of taken away from you, and that little getaway to be able to spend that with your best friend. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. It hurts.
Definitely. But yeah, it was a rundown shack, but it was theirs. It was their little place. And,
Exactly.
they worked their butt off. They got it, whatever, and they were able to they were going to try to fix it up, and that was the problem. Like, had they not had Tucker just, chilled out, or whatever, maybe some of that stuff would not have happened. Like, it all started with him cutting into the bees, nest or whatever, and getting attacked by the bees and using his chainsaw. Like, who knows if all of that stuff would have happened if you know. I think it still would have, just
Hmm.
differently, because what I feel it might not just be karma. I think also because there were like bloody murders that happened years before, supposedly. I think that land was cursed. There was something wrong with it. Even the what is it? The um sheriff told them stay away, like it's not a good area, or whatever, which is typical of horror films, for the sheriff to say, that's a normal thing. So I don't know. It was what do you think, Mike?
Hmm. I was kind of like basking in the thought, and I think I figured out how I could have saved everyone's life in this movie.
How?
Scheduling. And
What?
if either Tucker or Dale left a week later or those kids left a week earlier, everyone would have survived.
True.
Still would have had their home. But
Yeah, I mean, wait a minute. So if they never came, Dale and Tuck, well, then also Dale wouldn't have met his, you know, girlfriend.
that is true. But
So
I
something good came out of this, whole thing.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna deny there's a little light, like some silver lining at the end of the tunnel. I mean, poor Tucker, got one of his fingers replaced with like I actually think it's your crush's finger, I think too, because it was a female finger,
That's right, it was.
and I think it was actually hers.
Was it? I don't know. That's funny. Probably. It'd be more like hers, I guess. You
I
know.
think it was because they said they found my fingers.
Hmm.
She blew
Yeah.
up, so her fingers probably were.
Yeah, we're there. They thought it was his, but it was hers. I don't know. That's funny. I didn't think about that. I assumed they found his fingers. I don't know. Or whatever. It was so messed up. And you know what? I go and check. I didn't do it today, but because I sort of remembered. But I like to check. There's a site called does the dog die.com, and it's all about movies that have the dogs that are in them, and if the dogs die or not. So I like to check beforehand because sometimes I don't like to see when the dogs die and everything. And that dog looked like it was gonna die, you know, or whatever. I don't think it did though.
Nope, it's
Nope, he survived.
Jingers didn't die.
No, but
Mm-mm.
where did Jingers go? You don't see him at the end, really, did you? I guess.
well, they were going to the bowling alley. They can't bring the dog into the
In the
bowling.
hospital, you can't bring the dog.
Yeah,
Though they did bring a freaking Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever into the hospital. I don't think you could do that, you
That's the
know?
South.
Maybe. I don't know. I've
that
never been to a hospital in the South, like in that South. In Virginia, you definitely can't do it. That's funny though. I wouldn't be surprised, you know. Um, but yeah, I thought that was crazy that he brought a beer in there and everything and gave him a little straw. He said that was like his favorite uh straw or something, his favorite like drinking instrument.
Mhm.
I was like, what does that even mean? There's another kind of drinking instrument? Like, what else do you? I don't even never mind. I don't want to know. I uh Now, I actually reached out to the director of this film
Oh,
and
really?
told him we were reviewing it and stuff. And he just said, thank you for this or whatever, and everything. Hopefully I can send it to him. Hopefully he'll like it. So, Eli, if you
Okay, so are we
like,
getting a part two or something
yes,
similar?
I think there's been talk about that. Like
I
they
would.
wanted to do a sequel to this.
There was a lot of talk about it. I don't know why they didn't do it. I love the characters that play Tucker and Dale. Like even
Mm,
if you didn't do something like this, like do something similar to it. It's kind of like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, how they do like, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and At World's End and like they just work so well together. So
hmm
I would just like to see something else if this person's watching. I would like to see something else with the two of them in it.
exactly. I agree. Uh, was it Alan Tudyk who plays Tucker? I've been a fan of him ever since Firefly, and everything. And I mean, he was in what Dodgeball and tons
Oh,
of other
Steve,
stuff. What do you say, Michael?
Steve the pirate.
Yes. And he's so great. Like he's such a
Yes.
great comedic actor, you know.
And he's
Uh,
played villains before, and he's a good villain too. He was the villain in the first season of Doomsday. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Doomsday. Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. Okay, so and that's a DC show, right?
Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. I like what they're doing. I like that James Gunn has controlled the studio now and is doing things. I don't know if that was under Gunn's control or not, but that sounds like something Gunn would have put together.
That was
Uh,
actually the old regime. But I will say, because we're on the topic real fast, Gunn's very first thing did come out though is on HBO Max, the Creature Commandos animation film,
hmm
or that was my film, the TV series. I've already watched the first two episodes so far. I gotta admit, it's actually pretty darn good.
Hmm.
It's also got it doesn't have Alan Tudyk in it though,
Yeah,
right?
no, it actually does. He plays Atomic Skull, like he voices Atomic Skull in that one.
That's awesome.
And it's got like the Bride of Frankenstein, like she's a badass in the like in this one. I mean, it's a really good horror kind of ragtag. Like the best way to describe it, it's like horror Suicide Squad.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, I mean, it really is that. I mean, like it's really cool. I'm definitely digging it.
Yeah, and it's cartoon, right? Like it's
Oh yeah,
animated, so it seems really fun. I want to check it out at some point. What I've heard that they're doing with that is they're bringing whoever they have, you know, cast for the animated stuff will be in it in live action if they do like a live action version or whatever.
I've
So,
heard I've heard the same thing. Although I also heard another fun rumor because we are on the topic of Tucker and Dale that I hope this rumor is true because if it is true, I'm going to get very very giddy because Alan Tudyk is also the voice of Clayface
oh,
and and for what a lot of people are a lot of inside reports are saying that Alan Tudyk will be the live action Clayface for the Batman.
nice.
oh,
I know they're doing something with Clayface that Mike Flanagan, right? And so is he Clayface in the Creature Commandos?
Um, Actually, Clayface is not in the Creature Command.
Okay.
Uh, but he is one of the voice actors in there. Like he's on one of the ones in the group. He is the Atomic Skull.
Awesome. Well, so he'll play two roles in the DC studios?
Oh, well, I mean, I'll be interested to see if they ever bring the Atomic Skull because that would definitely take some CG work. I mean, not saying it couldn't be done. It's just you want to splurge on that kind of budget because I think one of the things they've all been trying to do is stay a little bit more grounded on their budgets. That way, they can maximize some better gains in the end, and not throughout these 250, 200 and or $350 million movies. Let's try to
Mm,
keep it more modest.
well, that's that's what Hollywood needs to work on for sure. Speaking of budgets, I mean, this movie seemed to have a pretty small budget and what it was able to do. I'm gonna see what it was. Any
Seriously.
gue- any guesses of what it is?
I'm gonna
hmm.
I'm gonna go with 385,000.
Oh, what about you, Shannon?
I was gonna say 325.
All right, well, it does not tell me. It only tells me what it made. It made 5 million grossed, worldwide. Let me see what the um sometimes online it will tell me budget of Tucker and Dale.
That might explain, sadly at least. And I'm not trying to be cruel or nothing, but that might be one reason why we never did get to see a sequel. 5 million in the box office is not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of better films. I mean, like actually, the original Friday the 13th, like way back in the 80s, like they had, I think it was like I believe they were like around a $250,000 budget, and they made 85 million.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 5 million, that's a little low, especially with that time era. But it's too bad too. I mean, I know it's one of those movies that's gathered a cult following, so I really wish the director would go down that well again because I could see him having a lot more success, like at least as far as like a box office draw goes.
Yeah.
I definitely think he would see bigger numbers than he did on the first one.
Yeah.
For
I just
sure.
I like this movie because it just brings you back to that old school humor.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Like it really does. in anything. Like we were I was on the phone one night with somebody and we were talking about it. We were talking about like Scary Movie and American Pie, and we were talking about Evil Dead and Army, like we're talking about all this stuff, and he had never seen um Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I
Right?
couldn't believe that. And I was like, you've got to just go watch it. I was like, you want some of that old humor? I was like, just go watch it. And he absolutely loved it.
Absolutely. Um, yeah. Oh, by the way, 5 million was what the budget was, and
Oh,
so the
Oh,
fact
so they
that it
broke even.
made, well, yeah, it was like 5,003,000, so 300,000, so it made $300,000 or whatever it was, and
oh, that's actually worse. It would have been better
Yeah.
off with our numbers.
was that?
It would have been better off with our numbers because, like, I was here thinking that, like, they had a 385,000 budget. They made 5 million. I was like, well, that's
Yeah,
not bad, but it's not great either. But flip that around because you're pretty much flipping around. You had a $5 million budget. That's what you cleared. Yeah, that's not good. And like I said, that's a darn shame because the film doesn't deserve that. It really doesn't. It's a good film. I mean, I
Mhm.
own it. It's in my collection of films. Back there, a bit behind me. And it's actually one that my wife is a diehard fan of Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like she actually even said, out of all the movies that I've had to watch for our podcast, that one will always be her favorite.
oh, that's sweet. Tell her I said thank you. Um, well, you're the one who picked it, so obviously you probably knew your wife likes it, too. So didn't help. I mean, it didn't hurt, having that. Um, but yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you have a significant other, you have a wife who you watch these movies with all the time or whatever. I mean, I just watched with my dog, and I don't think he was really watching it, or whatever. But I think this is still a movie that I'd watch with a lot of other people, Like, I mean, it's kind of gotten a cult following, or whatever. Like, people really do talk about this movie a lot and love it. So, I
But they
mean,
do now. Like
right.
the movie's appreciated now. And I think it's because of like so many other things that are coming out that are trying to do the same thing, but aren't quite there. I think that's why everybody is talking about it.
And sometimes it just takes time. I mean, a lot of people forget that back in the '80s when Sleepaway Camp came out, that movie bombed. Like it did not do well at all. And it fell kind of wayside. And then I think it was like 15 years, like something like that, or like 17 years later, then all of a sudden just a crop of like fan base just kind of blew up and like, wait a minute, this is actually a good fun throwback camp slasher, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's just, at the time it was bad timing. You had like competition of things like Madman, The Burning, and obviously the Friday the 13th series.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you were at that time you were a contingency. 20 years later, you're more a part of that nostalgia run, that you're just another one of those films that they love to go back and watch because you are part of that time era. And that's when I think it really started getting that big, like, hey, yeah, like this is a good one. This one deserves to be in the pile.
Hmm.
Hmm. No, I agree.
Well, I think
I'm
everybody camp slasher movies are such a big thing though. Like I remember when I was younger, they weren't like a big thing. And then as getting older and stuff, everybody's like, oh, let's watch it. We want a good camp slasher. We want this or we want that. And I'm not knocking Friday the 13th, but it is not like one of my favorites.
like, which one? All of them?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean,
I
don't.
don't particularly like the story.
Okay.
Not that there isn't good actors, not that the movies aren't good themselves, but I just don't like the story to it.
You don't like that it was a child that died drowned in a lake and then
And came
comes
back as
back
an
as an
adult.
adult? Well, I mean, and I've interviewed the writer of that, of the original movie. And he's the one who's going through the rights issues and stuff like that. And when I interviewed him back in the day, a long time ago, before all this rights issue stuff happened, he never liked it. He didn't like the idea that Jason became an adult. The problem was, like, where do you go from after that if you want to do a sequel? Do you make the mom the killer and just be a headless ghost, and that could have been cool. That
No,
could have
you
been
bring back the fucked up kid that's pissed off at the world and let him go at it.
right. That could have been cool too, but I
That's
think
what.
they never thought that that was threatening, or whatever. A kid wasn't threatened. Plus, they were still sort of low budget, even though I think Paramount was producing it at that point, they were still sort of low budget. So there's some things like kids can't go out at night, stay out that late at night and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of technical issues that they went with that. It's the same thing as like Halloween 4. At the end of Halloween 4, it looked like, what's her name was going to be the killer, and then she wasn't. Danielle Harris's character wasn't the killer. Then Jason, Friday the 13th, for it looked like Corey Feldman was going to be, as a kid, was going to be the killer, and then they didn't go that route. And once again, I think it's a choice of like, we're afraid that we can't have these kids at, all the time at night for like hours on end, to play the role. But we can do that for adults. And I think that was why they did that, and that became a thing. Like Victor Crowley was a kid, and then he became an adult and killed people. I don't know if you like the Hatchet series or not, but
Oh yeah.
like, oh, but see, that's the same story, except
Well,
he didn't drown in the lake.
no, because like if you remember, like when you like see like the actual events of when he did, he was an adult when he got killed.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I keep thinking he was a kid still, but you're right.
They did
He,
throwbacks of him being tormented by the townspeople, but when the actual last prank that killed him on that Halloween, he was an adult. Like I don't think he was as like big as he was like and later on. But no, he was definitely a full grown adult. He was definitely in his like 20s.
okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So maybe. That's I'll give Shannon, that on that. But I don't know. It didn't never bother me as growing up as a kid to an adult. I just that Jason was Jason. Jason was a adult. And it kind of to me was kind of cool. That he grew up. Like that just seemed like a neat thing to do. But for you and for Victor Miller and a bunch of other people who, did not want that, you know. Um, but this, and then it's funny because you're saying camp slasher. I mean, would you classify this as a slasher?
Um, yeah, actually, because I mean, it is to a degree. It's just the slashings are self-inflicted, really.
Yeah.
They're self-inflicted slashings, which is cool. Like that's different. Nobody had done that yet,
Exactly. I mean, and that's what makes it a part of its great charm, and why like I personally love it so much. I mean, I'm a big fan of horror comedy. It's my favorite genre. I love mixing laughs and great kills together.
Yeah.
I just think they go hand in hand. I mean, what better way to lower someone's ambitions or lower their guard for a great good scare or great good care or kill. I mean, than making them laugh their butts off maybe 30 seconds prior to that. And there's so many great good fun ones out there. You got the Final Girls, and oh, dude, I mean, there's so many.
I love the Final Girls.
Oh yeah,
Another
That was so well done.
that really was.
another movie Sarah picked before, or I picked, one of us had picked, and we had done for horror film lovers already. I'm sad because Mike got in here, after Sarah left and everything, and now she wants to do all the all the ones that, of course, we've already picked because they were great ones. I owned the Blu-ray for the Final Girls. Sadly, I don't own the Blu-ray for Tucker and Dale. I need to buy that at some point, or they need to put it on 4K. You know.
Agreed.
Um, I don't know if they would. Maybe like a boutique label might put it on 4K, like Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow, or probably Arrow, or one of those companies might put it on 4K. That would be cool. I would buy that. So
I would love for Shout Factory to have a crack at it. I think they could do pretty good with it.
they Shout Factory hasn't Scream Factory hasn't been my favorite lately. Like their releases haven't been the greatest lately. They used to have some amazing bangers, and I think lately it's kind of been blah. But if they put Tucker and Dale versus Evil in there, that would be awesome, you know. Like I would definitely buy from them.
Oh yeah,
100%.
it would win
Um,
me over.
but we were just saying earlier, and I don't remember if it was on air before we started, but that the two we had done the Final Destination 3, and then we did that. Now we're doing this one, and both of those actors were both in both of them. And the guy who played Chad was the boyfriend who died
Hmm.
uh on the roller coaster. And I just think it's so funny because when you see him in that, he's like the sweetest, nicest guy in the world. And this he's the douchiest. And it was what, like maybe 6 years later or something like that this movie came out. So like it's just funny to see two different sides of that actor, you
Uh,
know.
yeah, I think that was part of the charm. I think with that other horror comedy, The World's End. Oh
I
no,
love it.
no, this is the end.
This is the end.
Yeah, we had all the actors. I mean, no, like no, what they did with Michael Cera, I gotta be honest. Yeah, I just don't hope. I just really hope I don't ever meet him in person, just because I just don't know. Like, was it a movie? Are you really that guy? Bar, I really don't want to be around you. I think you're a bad influence.
What was the bit in that where they asked him if like they asked like if he had what was his dick like or something like that
Oh,
when
Mindy, God, I forget her last name. From the Mindy Project, and
yeah, Mindy Kaling or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. She was actually fantasizing about having sex with me. Like, oh yeah, that skinny way, oh pale, nerdy, white looking boy type. Oh, drives me crazy. I'm like, what?
I wonder if some of that's real. Like if like Seth and Evan who wrote it were like hanging out with their friends and hearing all these different things and just put them all into the script because like if you think about it, like that is one of the coolest things in the world because here it is a movie that's all about like Hollywood that's written by the Hollywood guys, that's where it gives you an inside look to whatever, right? Like uh, uh, you know and Jonah Hill is just this really nice guy, or maybe too nice, and stuff, which you know and then he has the great bit with the extras. I Is that a horror film? Like, could we count that as for horror film lovers, I wonder?
I think we should, and I think we should definitely add. Because honestly, I'd love to go back and watch that one again. Because I actually really enjoyed that one a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you want to pick it for your next one, feel free. I've got one for the next one that I want to do. So I'll mention that at the end, which is, I think, coming up pretty soon. I think we've already been talking almost an hour about this, almost, which time
Well,
flies when we're doing it.
very true. Well, I got a fun question I want to ask you all. Like, what was your all's favorite kill, like in this one?
Shannon, you go first.
I like when the guy spears himself in the ditch and Dale's just like, "You okay? Are you okay?" Like, that's it's one of my favorite parts, actually.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go with the wood chipper. I don't know why, but like just the idea of somebody just like putting themselves headfirst into a wood chipper, just and then him grabbing the legs and trying to get him out, but it looks the whole time like he's doing it. Like it's just so funny to me. I don't know. What about you, Mike?
Honestly, like, because it's a horror comedy, I don't always go for the most gory necessarily. I sometimes I'll go for what I find to be some of the more entertaining. And I gotta be honest, the gun, I thought it was really
Oh
entertaining.
yeah.
Wait, you got the safety on. And then they run back in the house, and Tucker immediately goes, "You've got the safety on? What is wrong with you?"
But I mean, wouldn't he have figured that out if he kept shooting and it wouldn't work? Like he would, oh no, I must have the safety on. Like it would have
Not
eventually happened, maybe.
Well, it depends on how he was brought up and stuff. Some people have never ever seen or touched a gun a day in their life, and they would have
Yep.
no idea what a safety is.
So do you think he would have just thrown the gun away or whatever? I don't know. But
He
he
might have thought
wouldn't.
it was a scam or something when it just had the safety on it and they thought it was inoperable. I mean, like Shannon does pose a good point. All depending, and bear in mind here, if we're just going by appearance, which I know we shouldn't do, this movie kind of told us not to. But if we go by that appearance, these look like more of that upper eclu, rich kid bunch, like the fraternity boys. Because like even in the car, they were talking like about something, like about rules or whatever like that. They were shouting about some college Sigma Phi. So they're obviously fraternity brothers, which means they also could be coming from those families that have money. So owning guns probably has never been their thing. They may have never even held a gun before, and they're just completely ignorant to it because
Mhm.
some of them were just coddled.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever really fired a gun, you know. I do know from watching all these movies that there's a safety on them potentially, you know, and that might not have been the case. He might have been able to shoot him, you know, the safety might have been off, you know, but probably because he took the gun from the cop, and the cop would probably have the safety on at the time, you know, just so it didn't blow a hole in his you know, holster or whatever, you know, or area, you know, at all. Like nothing would have gone off, you know. So I
I
don't know.
think his
But
character was also supposed to be playing the stupid one. He's like the male dumb blonde.
that's true. That's true. So that would have worked. It was that guy, right? It was the idiot guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was here with the striped shirt.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, where's Waldo? I just keep calling him
Yeah,
that.
where's
The shirt just looked like that to me. He should be wearing that hat, and I would have literally he would probably look like Where's Waldo.
I used to. I'm funny enough. The guy behind you in the green shirt, like I always kept on referring to him as Anthony Soprano because I thought he looked like the young,
I
the
Yeah.
I get that. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Where's Waldo would be a fun horror movie.
ooh, that would be. Can't find me. I'm
Would
right here in front of you.
would it be called Scares Waldo?
Oh, you might be onto something there.
I don't know. You know, I've got way too many ideas, and then you know,
Me
just
too.
don't give you.
Ooh,
I gotta I gotta trim them back, man. I've got too many things going on right now. So I can't but Where's Waldo? There was a short that Paul and I did for Short Film Saturday that was like a uh Where's Waldo type thing. I forgot what it was called. But it at the end of it, the thing that was in the, you know, in the book disappears, you know, and comes into real life or whatever, you know, and stuff. It was kind of cool. But it was a short. I would love to see a Where's Waldo horror film. I would watch that.
I would too, actually.
That'd be pretty creepy.
Because you don't know where he is,
Hmm.
you know, so that's even scarier.
People just get killed. You know what I mean?
I just watched a movie today. I went to the theater with my friend, and he wanted to go see The Man in the White Van. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's a serial killer movie, and it's okay, but the coolest thing about that period was that it was independently produced. So I'm always up for watching independently produced movies. But like, you know, the idea is that it's based on a true story in Florida about these unsolved murders that kind of, I mean, they never got solved. The person is still out there today, you know, and everything. Spoiler alert, I guess. 'Cause, you know, like it kind of leaves it where it's like, okay, he could be anywhere, you know, or whatever. And it had some creepy moments to it, but um it was not a, but like it wasn't your typical horror film. I guess it was more of a thriller, you know. And Sean Astin's in it, and Ali Larter from the original Final Destination.
Hmm.
So it was neat to see them together and whatnot. But aside from that, it was just kind of like, you know, like I thought Sean Astin was gonna be the the bad guy at first when I was like, when I saw that he was in it, I'm like, he does. He. I hate to say it. He's a big guy now. He's.
Oh, I agree. But man, you got my gears turned. Because I was like, Sean Ashton as a villain, I would watch that. I really
Hmm.
would.
I don't think he's done that yet, has he?
I don't think he has. And honestly, there have been some really good, fun breakthroughs on that one. One that pops in my mind right off the bat would be Robin Williams. When he did Insomnia and 24-hour photo. Uh,
24-hour photo was so that one
Oh, I agree.
that was really creepy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I liked Insomnia a lot, but I didn't love it. It's not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but I liked it, a lot. I thought it was fun. It was a good movie, and also really, it's always good to see Robin Williams play like, against type. And he was in was it Law and Order, SVU, and he played like this creepy guy who went on, who was arrested or whatever, and then he went and, told his or whatever, he fired his lawyer so he could be his own lawyer. And when an actor does that, like it was him, and there was like Fred Savage who did that once, and whenever they do it, they're the best. Like it's the best stuff to watch. I'm a huge courtroom drama fan, so like
Hmm.
I love watching people like, you know, uh, especially when they're killers, or something, or like rapists or something like that, because there's like this creepiness to them, asking the witnesses or the actual victims questions, it's just, kind of creepy. Like to think that like they're allowed to do that. I mean, isn't that messed up that the court allows a
Yes.
potential, you know, whatever person to do that to the poor people, and they can't say, I want a different, lawyer interviewing me, or asking me questions. You can't, so it just shows how messed up our judicial system really is, you know. So, but it's supposed to be fair, and everything, and whatnot. But yeah, I love Robin Williams. I loved Adam Sandler when he does like kind of like Punch Drunk Love, have you ever seen that? Have you guys seen that movie?
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Such a weird turn for him. And I've heard Uncut Gems. I have it. I haven't watched it yet. Heard that is just like, and I've heard it. If you have anxiety, it makes it even worse. And so I'm like, I don't know if I could watch a movie that's just already going to give me anxiety when I have anxiety just waking up in the morning.
And you know what? I'm going to throw this example in there too because I think it's actually worthy of it. Because I remember when I watched it when I was a kid, I was so enthralled with the movie. But I'm going to throw Macaulay Culkin in there from doing Home Alone to The Good Son.
Yes.
That
Yep.
was a
Yes.
good movie. Like
Oh, I remember watching that when I was younger, and man, he plays Psycho very well.
he
Hmm.
really did. There were so many good that Mr. Highwayman scene. Like with
Yes.
poor Mr. Highwayman, he just lost his job. He has nothing to live for. You're not going to do it. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Well, then again, bye bye, Mr. Highwayman. Just pushed him over. Then of course that infamous like when Elijah Wood like almost falls off and he grabs and he goes, "If I let you go, you think you can fly?"
Hmm.
I mean, he was
He,
very creepy. He was very very creepy.
He's
well,
an amazing actor.
No, he
you
did.
know,
To do that well, that young, that's I
and
always
you,
get impressed with the creepy kids. Always.
and that's the thing with Macaulay Culkin. He kind of went on to do his own, like, I mean, he had millions and millions of dollars. I remember him being on a podcast, and I'm talking about how he just, he enjoys being in like Paris, and stuff. He was in Paris for a long time because in Paris nobody bothers him, like they know who he is and they leave him alone, as opposed to America where a lot of times you just don't, like I saw Tobin Bell once, I think. I'm pretty sure it was Tobin Bell, but I didn't go bother him. I didn't go talk to him, and my friends were just like, "Hey, is that Tobin Bell over there?" And I was like, I don't know, maybe, but I don't want to like go be like, hey, what's up, Jigsaw? Like, how's it hanging? 'Cause like rude, but like Macaulay Culkin going out there doing that stuff and then coming in doing movies whenever something strikes his fancy,
Uh,
you know?
Johnny Depp is actually the exact same way. That's why he lives like in that chateau in France most of the time. And he just
Hmm.
and to do his films because like you said in France, like I just think is the thing. Like they don't care. Like they don't think being an actor is anything special. It's like to them it's another job. Like
Right.
like the other job. Like you're no better than the man who like who they call if they need like some electrical work on their home or anything else. You're no less, but you're no better than
Hmm.
you're just doing another occupation in their eyes.
Exactly. Which
Would you
is
want to be famous, Michael?
Well, would be famous. I don't know.
You want to be in a Hollywood motion picture? Do you want to be famous? Do you want your name everywhere?
Probably not.
Yeah.
you wouldn't either, Shannon?
No. I don't think I can handle that. I'm a very reserved person, even though I like to do acting and directing and stuff. But the social media part of just indie films drives me crazy. My messenger goes off constantly. Hey, are you doing a movie? Hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I'm just like, so having somebody in my face while I'm out to dinner or shopping or anything like that, I'm gonna go to jail. I already know it. I don't think fame for me. I don't.
It's like this song. I forgot what song it was exactly, but from Eminem, where he's like, like when I'm out, I don't want to be bothered when I'm, taking a piss and you're just standing by it, like just and you can tell this shit happens to him where he's just taking a piss in a urinal and some dude is standing by there like, "Hey Eminem, what's up?" And he's like, "Dude, like leave me alone. I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think I could handle all that.
uh
I really don't. I get people that will message me if I'm out with my friends or something and they'll just be like, "Hey, I saw you today."
that's
That's
kind of
weird to
creepy.
me.
That's
That's
creepy.
weird.
Well, it's more creepy that they saw you and they didn't say, "Hey, Shannon." They just said, "Okay, I'm just gonna write to her and say, "Hey, I saw you." Kind of like you're the man in the white van. You're, like, or they're the man in the white van, like watching you or whatever. Um, I would rather be rich than, famous. If I had the choice between the two, rich or famous, I'd rather be rich, because fame does suck. Like fame doesn't matter to me, But if I could be that like rich guy that gets rich and nobody even knows who they are, like I'd be happy, just because I mean, what money doesn't buy you happiness, but it can definitely pay off all your bills. So don't have to worry about, certain things and you can live a better life. I'm pretty sure Macaulay Culkin is happy. He just probably has ups and downs like everybody else. There's some days like things are good and things are whatever, and some days things are bad, you know, but his fame probably because he was one of those people that was very private. He did not
Well,
like,
he also started off as a child, so child actor, so he's been all these years
and
of
there's
dealing with no privacy.
and there's a lot of things that we probably don't know that happened that will probably never come out, and stuff that happened to because kids in Hollywood are terrible. It's terrible what happens to kids in Hollywood and everything. And that's the one thing like when I will ask my friends like would you want them to be an actor? A lot of people say no, not in Hollywood because it's dangerous. You leave your kid with somebody you don't know. There's that whole documentary about it, about the Knicks shows and stuff, and the kids how the kids were sort of treated. Like I want to say Drake Bell, went through some
uh,
shit.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. What Drake Bell went through was pretty awful.
Yeah.
There's no way to slice or dice that one. Uh,
Yeah.
No, there's not. But unfortunately, I mean, there's no way to tell. You could just be a regular person and take your kid to a daycare and think that you're leaving them with somebody that's going to take care of them, and the same thing, unfortunately, could happen. So there's really
Exactly.
no way to tell.
Exactly. And that's the worst part is you don't know because somebody could do that for the first time, right? Like they could have been the best person ever to like and have great recommendations because they've never done anything like that. And then they decide that one time is their, impulse to do something fucked up, and everything. And it's creepy to think. Like, this is why we make horror films. Kind of
mhm.
showcase this stuff and sometimes bring it out into the open. But then we also make movies like Tucker and Dale versus Evil that is more comedic and more silly and more laid back and fun, and stuff because nobody's taking this too seriously, I hope, like, or you know what I mean? Like, if you're taking this seriously, you've got serious issues, in my opinion,
Agree. No, I mean it's meant to let your mind go and stuff, but and that's one of the reasons why I've always said like why I've loved horror so much is I don't think any other genre has as many subgenres to it as like horror does.
hmm
Right.
Uh,
Well, comedy's getting there because there's way so many subgenres of comedy. You
mm,
know. Speaking of which, I think one of the girls, I think Katrina Bowden, who's the main girl, Allison, she's in a Christmas like Lifetime thing that came out this year. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is Christmas time," and it's out on Tubi right now.
he does kind of look like a Hallmark kind of movie kind of girl, actually. If I'm to be honest.
Yeah,
She did a pretty racy B porn movie.
which one was that?
I cannot remember the name of it, but I have actually seen this. And she plays a nurse.
Mm, all right.
And I watched this and I was like, that's the girl from Tucker and Dale.
Um, was she? I mean, was it was sort of soft core porn or something? Like it wasn't like a real porn or anything, right?
No, it was softcore. It was a badly done movie. I would say that. It was badly done, low budget movie.
But this was before Tucker and Dale, I'm guessing, or
Honestly,
was it?
I didn't look it up to see if it was before Tucker. I just know it was her.
Oh, maybe there's a movie called Sex Drive. She was in a movie called Sex Drive
No,
called
that's a comedy.
Miss Tasty was her name, and that I don't see
Oh, that's right. And you know who her boyfriend was in that one?
who.
Dave Sheridan.
Nice, which you've got to work with a couple times.
Yeah, fun dude. Really, really, really fun dude. That dude is comedy gold. Like, I'll tell you right now, a lot of the stuff he did in Blaze Summer Camp 1 and 2 was a lot of his ab living. He's one of those few people we allow him to have some pretty open range to tweak his line some. Because he still gets the same point across every time, but it's just the stuff he comes up with. I mean, I swear, like I think just he has these gears that run the back of his head that is constantly spinning and thinking of other things he can do with his character when he's on set. And 9 times out of 10, it's absolutely hysterical.
Hmm.
I think I found it. There's a movie called Nurse, just called Nurse. Have
Oh my god! I
you
think I
seen
know
it?
the movie. Like they did they make that in 3D as well? It's like
Yes, it was also called Nurse 3D.
yeah, and it has the girl from Boardwalk Empire in it. Oh God, yeah. Hang on.
So it's got Katrina Bowden, it's got Judd Nelson of all people.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
got Corbin Blue from Twilight. I think he's from Twilight, right? Because no, he's from High School Musical. Never mind. It's got Martin Donovan, Kathleen Turner is in the movie.
oh dear God. Here it is.
Like, yes. Oh, you have it. That's
Here
the
it is.
movie. Yeah, actually owns the movie.
Yep,
All right.
in 3D, I might add.
Well, do you have the 3D glasses, or did you have to? Did that come
Oh
with
yeah,
it?
I have a 60-inch 3D TV with the passive, so it's like the theater style glasses. So it's not like that red blue one, or like those, or like the little LCD screens that had that little flicker in it. It's a lot more natural. It doesn't strain your eyes as much.
Did you watch it in 3D?
I did actually. It's why I got it because like I'm actually a bit of a 3D nerd and I love 3D horror as well. I got the original Creature 1 and 2 like in 3D. I got Jaws 3D, Friday 13th Part 3 in
Oh, of
3D,
course.
Amityville 3 in 3D, My Bloody Valentine and the Piranha movies in 3D, Darkest Hour. I mean, I got a boatload. Oh, I got the original House of Wax in 3D with Vincent Price. That's
Oh,
fun.
I want to buy that at some point, but do they come in 2D or do you have to have it in 3D? I
Oh no,
wonder.
it comes in 2D as well.
Okay.
Most of the 3D Blu-rays, if you pop it in like in a non 3D Blu-ray player or whatever, it'll just play it in 2D for you right there on the spot.
Okay. Well, it's always just weird to watch movies in 2D that are supposed to be 3D because it's always like, yeah, here's this coming at you, and you're just like,
yeah, every year
uh,
that they do the Jaws marathon.
right? So you watch in 3D and you're just like, oh man, that would be so cool watching the shark come at me, but I can't.
Oh, you
It's
just gotta come to my house.
I guess so, you don't live too far away from me.
You really don't. I think you're like maybe 2 hours away at most.
Were you So I went to a like holiday mixer. I don't know if you saw, but I went to like a holiday mixer in Richmond. Yeah, I should have invited you to come out. It was like a networking
You
event.
actually you did invite me in all fairness, and I put down I was interested, and the only reason I couldn't say I was going was because I don't get off work until 6:30, and I'm up in Springfield, Virginia.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
bit of a hike, but a lot of times I get off work early, because and that's why I put down as a maybe because like, well, if I get off early, I'll head out there. I ended up getting off on time. I was like, well, I'm not going to get there until like
yeah.
8:30. I knew it started
Oh,
at
it they were done before 8:30. Like it was only 6 to 8 p.m.,
yeah,
which was
wouldn't even.
weird.
Mm,
I thought it was weird that it was so short, because like, I mean, it wasn't a huge turnout. Like, it wasn't like the whole room was filled, but like, you still had plenty of people to go around and talk to, and we didn't even get to chat with everybody. And it's weird. Like, those things are weird because you have to go up and talk to these group of people. Then you got to go talk to these people, and it almost feels like you have to be rude to be like, just to fit everybody. It's like speed networking,
mm,
like or whatever, like speed dating, but for networking. You just run around and you have to go around and talk to different people and our
Every horror convention ever.
well, true, but I think but the horror conventions, in all fairness, is a whole weekend thing. So you have plenty of time to if you're staying there for the whole weekend, you have plenty of time to just hobnob and chat. But it does feel like, you don't, because there's so many people there and you still want to talk to like everybody if you can, you know.
mm,
Um, what I liked, I think I might have mentioned it on the last one, but what I really liked was that they had Shalon Simmons at the Scares That Care next to Lachlan Monroe. And I became friends with Lachlan a little bit. Not friends, like we're not buddies or anything, but he was very nice to me, very sweet. We talked a lot. And whenever there was some downtime and it was me and him talking, she would start chatting with us a little bit or listening to the conversation or whatever. And I was just like, that is so cool. Like that is such a neat like when when like the people are next to the table, like Serena Vincent was next to Kane Hodder at one convention. And so she was like all nosy, asking questions and stuff. And I was just like, that's awesome. Not nosy, but you know what I mean? Like she was wondering what we were talking about, or whatever, and it was just cute. So I love conventions. Like I love going to them.
mm.
I can't wait to go to I don't know what one will be my next one, but you know, I have I have plenty I want to go to this coming year. Do you, Michael? Do you have a few that you plan to go to?
Well, I just came back from the New Jersey one, which because we were just talking about Home Alone. I actually met one of the girl, one of the sisters from Home Alone, the blonde one, Angela, the one who says,
Oh,
"You're what the one I call lazy Capitan." And the reason why I wanted to
what?
meet her, she was the lead girl in Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon with Nathan Basil.
Nice.
And he was there too. I actually have a picture with her. It's kind of funny because you can see a headstand behind me, but you can't see the face. That's actually Nathan.
That's
But I got to see
funny.
Nathan again. And I got to also see Felissa too. She was there as well. So it was really awesome to see all of them. And I got to see a few of the other people in the horror community, which is always awesome. In fact, one of our one of the people who backed her film, she paid to have her photo in the film. Her and her daughter both. She actually ended up being Nathan's handler at the
Oh,
con.
Nice.
Well, which was even more awesome because like they even talked about saying, "Oh my God, we're in the same film."
That's cute. And how is Nathan as a person? He seems really
So
nice.
awesome, really nice, and he's a really good actor. That makes
Yeah.
some really good range and a lot of emotion. And there's like I said, definitely, I'm not trying to plug this, but watch Blaze when we came to. But I mean, but you don't even need to do that. But please watch it anyway. But if you really want to see, like I said, Behind the Mask, he was so brilliant that like, and I told him that too. Like, and he's so modest about it. He goes, well, I only did a good job because I had a really good writer who wrote a really good script, and I get where he's coming from with that because it's how I feel about Dave and the way I work with him. I think he's a very good writer too, and that's why the movies come out looking good, is because of that too. But also, it takes the talent to really make it come to life. Like I was telling him, I was like, yeah, it was great writing and stuff, but it still needed that right person to make it come to life. And
Uh-huh.
I can't imagine anyone better than him. I mean, he was absolutely just phenomenal in that. And even with us, like I really enjoyed him so much. He's definitely on our favorites list, and like I know we definitely want to work with him again.
that's
Definitely.
awesome.
What about you, Shannon? Are you going to any horror conventions this coming year, or you
I
planning
don't
to?
know. I'm on the fence about Carolina Fear Fest. I don't know if I'm going to do that one this year. If I
They've got some
don't,
good
then
guests on that one.
I definitely want to do, I want a table of my own for the following year because Sibylla will be done and out. And so I would definitely probably want to do a table then. But Creature Feature is always fun. So
Mm.
I definitely want to go to Creature Feature. I go to that every single year. It's literally only 30 minutes from me.
There
Um,
was go ahead, Mike.
yeah, I was saying, yeah, I'll probably be at Carolina Fear Fest myself. I will actually be at a Mad Monster Party in February, which I was excited to go before, but then they dropped the bombshell who's going to be there, and I got really excited, which is Brad and Fiona Dorff are both going to be there from the
Oh,
and
Nice.
I have a Child's Play poster right over here. I've got a lot of them. I got Andy, I got Kai, I got Michael Sarandon, who was the cop, and I got the who else do I have? I got the barber from part three who got killed. But like both the dwarfs and obviously Jennifer Tilly too. I want those in the worst way on my poster so bad.
oh, I do not blame you.
Yeah, I got to meet like a few of them at Texas Frightmare, and I've known Alex Vincent for a little while, so
He's not.
yeah, he's super nice. I like him, and he was super chill. Like when we talked, we chatted about stuff, and he's just like a nice dude. Uh, I've met what's the girl from part two? That was also in like Beverly Hills 90210 or something, or so.
Tori
God, no, she's not in Child's Play 2.
Child's Play too. Oh, I'm sorry.
Child's Play 2. Do you remember?
Oh, the stepsister?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hi. Yeah.
yeah. What's her name?
Um.
Christine Elise.
Yep, yep.
And I met her. She was really nice.
He is.
Just very she's very business, like, and I know this. I think she's like a big part of SAG, and stuff. So she yeah, she's very businesslike, and I love that. And then I met Brad, and I don't think I got to meet Fiona. She was there. Oh, and I got to meet the writer director, the writer of I didn't get to meet Todd Holland though, but Tom Holland. What?
Don Mancini.
Yeah, Don Mancini. Got to meet him, and then Kevin Yeager, who did the doll, or whatever.
It's actually one of the reasons why I love the Child's Play series so much. It's one of the very few series out there. I think like them and Hatchet are really the ones I can think of that has been helmed by the same writer and director for all.
Yep.
And such a rarity. And I remember, like, Don Mancini even said that if my series is gonna tank, it's gonna be done by my hands.
Hmm. Well, I'm surprised that they didn't go with the fourth season or whatever. Like they
Oh, they
stopped.
wanted to. Like, I don't know why. I mean,
I'm so upset.
yeah, Don was all on board for it. He was ready to go because after that fourth season, after that, they were going to do. I think they were going to do two more movies, and then that was going to be it. But when you think about that, that would have been the span. I think it would have been like what, like 8 movies and then a 4 season TV series. That's a good run. All by the same writer and director. Like for a very overall, I thought it was a very solid horror series. Like
It definitely was, and you can't leave off in like the last episode. You bring John Waters on, you bring John Waters on, and then there's nothing. You're not doing anything
like
else. Like,
and what?
Just ends.
I
John
love John
Waters killed
Waters.
it.
I love him.
I what is it? I yeah, I think the series should have continued, at least one more season. Just give it the final thing, like, or whatever, and then do the 2 movies and then call it that for now. Because I absolutely hated that they did the remake, or whatever and stuff. And, I don't think you're gonna get Mark Hamill to sign your Child's Play, poster or
No,
whatever.
and I don't think I'd want him to. Like, and that's not a knock on Mark Hamill. And like even that Child's Play remake, my wife and I both said the same thing. They really shouldn't have bothered with adding the IP to it. They should have tweaked the look of the doll, and they could have even kept the name and just called it Buddy. Because guess what? Right at that time, it was a good craze for doing it because you had you had the Child's Play movies. You also had
Megan.
yeah, and you had Megan also come out.
Mm.
I was like, you didn't have to run off an IP. You were in that prime time where you could have just made that your own thing, and I think it was so well because it kind of felt like Child's Play met Stranger Things. It definitely didn't feel like your normal Child's Play movie whatsoever. So why add the IP to it? All because you think it might get you a couple extra ticket sales, which has already shown that's not the case because Annabelle did pretty damn good in the box office
Well,
Meg did very good in the box office.
I think the idea was that whatever company it was that had Child's Play was losing the rights to it. So they had to do something. And Don Mancini was not interested in doing the movies, I don't think at that time. He wanted to move on to the television series or whatever. So they ended up I mean I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But I think that's what happened is that they were running out of the rights and so they had to do it. They had to do Child's Play, and then the rights reverted back to Don after that, and everything. And now I think he should own the rights to it because it's his IP, and hopefully I don't know, maybe he'll bring back Child's Play, but do it his way again, or something. I don't know. I would like to see more Chucky movies,
I would do. I enjoy them.
Yeah. We're actually going to be doing it for the regular horror films on Horror Film Lovers next year for the video stuff. John Ward and I are going to be going through all the Child's Play movies and reviewing them. So that'll be fun. I haven't watched them in forever, really, other than like some of the newer ones, or whatever. So be nice to go through them again.
I watch them a lot.
Do
Eh,
you? So I should just hang out with you, and then I'll just watch it all the time. You
My
know,
son loves Child's Play. We watch Child's Play a lot.
that's cute that you guys are able to go and do like it's.
your
See,
son's got
that's
really great taste in films, by the
uh,
way.
What?
Your son's got really great taste in films, by the way.
He really does.
does he
I'm
get them
pretty
from you or?
impressed. I think he gets it from me. I mean, my child, not a child, he's 20 years old now, but I mean, he's got the original Redneck Zombies poster on his wall.
There you go.
Yeah.
Most kids his age don't have like that stuff on
Yeah.
his wall.
Not
The
newer generations.
the director of that reaches out to me all the time, just chat. It's nice. It's like such a weird small world once the internet, like, like it made a small world even smaller, I feel like all of a sudden we know all these people who we just like when I grew up watching or whatever, like it's just
Mhm.
weird to me, or whatnot. So I love it. Like, I got to interview Christine Lakin, who was my first crush ever, right? I didn't tell her that because I didn't want to come off creepy, but she probably knew in some way or whatever. But like to interview people that I actually grew up watching, like ZZ from Salute Your Shorts or something, like
Mhm.
that to me is such a weird world. Like I never thought that would even be possible that I would ever get a chance to do that and whatnot. And here we are. Like we get
Mhm.
these opportunities now, especially because of horror conventions and conventions, period, and whatnot. Pop culture conventions,
Oh
this
yeah.
summer. So I love this. Like I love this world we live in that wasn't, wasn't available when we were young, you
Right.
know.
And then all of a sudden you're friends with celebrities on Facebook. I will never forget the first time Tyler Maine, and I love him. He is an amazing person.
Mhm.
Him, his wife, I just got his graphic novel. He just sent it out. He's just all around amazing. I remember I put a post on Facebook and Tyler Maine commented on it and I was like, seriously? And a brief conversation with Bill Moseley on
Uh,
Facebook.
Oh yeah.
I was like, is this really happening?
well, I told Sid Haig on my show once that like before he passed, sadly, but I told him like the first time I ever went to Texas Frightmare Weekend, which is like my first convention ever, I walk into the hotel and like the first person I see like sitting down is freaking John Carpenter, like getting interviewed by a podcast or something, right? And then all of a sudden I see Bill Moseley and Sid Haig walking by like this, and then all of a sudden I see Kate Hodder staring at me while he's going to the elevator, and I'm like thinking, this is what they must have felt like during Jurassic Park, like you know what I mean? Like when you see all those animals, and you're just like in awe of like the dinosaurs, and I said that to Sid, and Sid was like, yeah, but the difference is we're not allowed to eat you.
Eh.
And then he goes, it's in our contract. And I was like, thank you. Like he gets it though. Like he got it. Like that was a big deal. To him, it probably isn't that big of a deal because like it's just his world he lives in that you know what I mean? Like he probably is happy to see he was happy to see fans, but he wasn't thinking like this was like a huge deal to be at these horror conventions. He likes to go there, hang out, talk to people. You know, my buddy Stro, I'm sure you guys know of Rob Kellum, but he just chatted with Sid Haig about Batman, about the because I
Yep.
think he was in the episode of Batman. You
Yeah, he's
know,
one of the Penguins henchmen.
Hmm.
There you go. Like, and he's there talking to him about that. And to me, just like, and the dude's so down to earth about it. Like, he said that Adam West was kind of a dick, you know.
Oh yeah, well, I
But
mean, if
you
you
know,
if you go down the rabbit hole about what was going on in that TV show, it's not overly surprising. There was some pretty bad things going on in that TV
there's
show.
some little ego stuff going. I
Some
heard Burt Ward was not. You know, Burt
Yeah,
Ward was
no,
really
no, he
nice.
was kind of like more on the I'm just gonna go to my little corner and just stay to myself. uh, but no, I definitely agree with you all. Like, I still remember like one of my first surreal moments with the celebrities too. That really caught me off guard. Like, I won't even lie, I kind of got a little teary eyed a little. It was several years ago. I'm not going to name any like project names or anything like that, but I agreed to do a project that someone reached out to me to be a part of. Like this was many years ago. And I noticed that a couple of celebrities I worked with in some of our films were in. I'm like, oh, cool. Like yeah, sure, this will be awesome. I get to see them again. We get to all hang out and stuff. So I agreed to do it. They announced me, and then like it was like it could have been more than like 12 hours later. Not one, but both of them called me. Well, actually, first they shot me on this like, hey, Mike, do you have time for a phone call? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, give me 5 minutes. I'll get somewhere. I called them and they're like, Mike, we saw we saw you just got on that. We are both leaving that. Do not do the project. You are such a nice and such a sweet guy. What's going on in that project? We don't want you to ever be a part of anything like that. You are too nice and too sweet to be a part of something like that. Like we
Oh,
walking away from it, and we just want you to both know that we do not want you to be a part of this either because we actually do care about you.
oh,
We don't want to see you go down somewhere like that because you actually have a good heart to you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that kind of really sticks. So yeah, I end up calling like, guys, something came up and I'm not going to be able to do it anymore, and then I end up walking from it. But that really got me tear. I was like, oh my god, like because I knew I worked with them and everything, but I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, it's a gig, like and you were all nice and they were all pleasant. You were all great. I would never say a bad thing about any of y'all. Y'all were absolutely fantastic and everything, but didn't know that it was that much of a cool time and that much of an impact to where like you're like, oh, this guy is about to get into something I know is probably not going to be good or could really hurt him. We gotta warn him, like it's just those kind of levels. And like you also, it's
Hmm.
like people we grew up watching and stuff, and it's like, wow, you're kind of looking after me now. I was like, oh wow, like I feel so blessed.
well, I did watch both of you guys in a little movie called Blood and Breakfast,
uh,
so I was
Ah.
happy to have that and everything. It was interesting to see both of your characters as things I wasn't expecting. Shannon with Amanda there, and everything. That was consider you guys are like best friends. It's so such a strange thing to be. And then Michael as the sort of the dick character, which I think you talked about on the last podcast, and you were saying like that role was a lot of fun for you to play a sort of a dick character because you don't usually get cast that way.
no, like, and I've been told I actually play a good dick too.
I thought you did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
I thought you did a good job. It was good.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
didn't recognize you at first. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't recognize you. I was like, "Where's Michael in this movie?"
No, I
And
said the same thing.
yeah. And I was like, and then later I rewound it. I'm like, that is Michael, but you didn't like, I didn't think of you as, like I know you personally. And so when saw it, I just didn't think of the same thing. So apparently Shannon thought the same thing. So I just was like, oh, okay.
Have
You
you
know,
watched it yet, Michael?
I have not actually had a chance to. Matt Anderson was nice enough. Like when the movie, he went to the premiere. He actually saw me on the screen. And he actually pulled out his phone and recorded my scene and sent it to me. So I got to see my scene, but I've not got to see the movie. I do want to see it. And I need to talk to Mark and Don about getting my copy.
Oh, you don't
yeah.
have a copy yet?
No, I don't. I need to. I really need to get one. I want one and stuff. Because like actually that location we filmed that for our group. That was actually one of my friends' places that I found for them.
Oh, okay.
That's
uh,
awesome.
uh,
I want to go to the second premiering, the one in February
oh, oh,
at the
oh,
Alamo.
at the Witches Island. What weekend is that?
It's not the weekend of Slasher Nurse.
It's not the 21st weekend because that's Matt Monster.
I don't think so. I don't think Matt Burns would schedule that the same weekend as
No,
Matt
he wouldn't
Monster.
have done that. No.
Um,
He can't be in two places at once.
they're gonna do Blood and Breakfast, but one of the shorts from Head on the Writer's Block, Just a Night in the Woods, which is me, Jim Crutt, Russell Sage Patrick, that's gonna be premiered before the second premiere of Blood and Breakfast.
Oh hell yeah!
So
A bunch of people I know and I love.
That's awesome. Well, there you go, people. If you want to go see, like, there's plenty of things going on next year, like
mhm.
lots of premieres and whatnot.
And Slasher Nurse also in February. I'm so excited. I will be there.
Oh,
I already got my hotel room and everything. So
Nice.
be there.
it's gonna be a fun night. Yeah, and actually, Felissa Rose, Brian Bremer, and Jim Crudd are all coming out for that one too.
Awesome.
What is that? Is that a premiere for it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's our very first premiere. We actually sold out our first show. We got the big one, the 185 seater. We sold it out in like less than 30 hours. So they gave us a second giant one, and I think we've sold about 50 or 60 tickets in that one. But there's still plenty available. Like and it only starts 30 minutes after the other one, and we're gonna go to both of them, and so are the celebrities. So anyone who goes to the second showing will still get to meet all the celebrities and everything.
Nice. Which one are you going to, Shannon?
The first one.
The first one. I figured.
Yep.
So you got your tickets early on, and you're like, I got
I
it.
did because Dave Kerr was so nice and put this post on Facebook and said, "Hey, if you guys want a room, we'll give you this, there's a discount for it." So like as soon as he did that, I went ahead and booked it, got my ticket. I knew it was going to sell out. Like I knew the tickets were going to sell out and like I bought my ticket and my cousin Nikki is going with me and
Oh,
then Megan is going and my sister Holly, so like we'll all be there.
Oh, it's a
But
whole
we bought our
family
tickets,
affair.
and then the next thing I know, like an hour later, they're like, "Oh, there's only like 7 tickets left." I was like, "Oh my God."
That
So
was awesome. I remember seeing that where he was like, "There's only like a few tickets left or whatever," and then it gets sold out in 30 hours, and I was like, "Jeez, all
I,
right, well, that's awesome."
I
Yeah.
wasn't paying that either. I was like, wow. I was like, maybe people like the slasher nurse.
yeah, that's a
Well,
huge thing. Like a huge congrats. Jordan Miller just did the same thing with the Only
Yeah.
Ones.
Oh God, and Jordan's so absolutely matter of fact, Jordan was our second cameraman on Play Summer Camp too,
I know.
nice.
and he actually was our second sound guy for Slasher Nurse.
I like
Jordan,
Jordan.
Jordan is a jack of all trades. I tell you what, he is just so talented and such a nice guy,
Mm.
Like I love working with him no matter like what you're doing. I love working with him. And the Only Ones, I got to go to the pre-screening of that, and that movie
Oh,
is
I've heard good things about it.
fantastic. It is fantastic.
That
And I love Jordan. Jordan's been on my show before, for I think 31 Days of Indie Horror, which you guys have both been on as well. And I keep trying to get him back on, but he's fucking busy, like as hell. Like
He's so
I
busy.
I I know, like I'm just like,
I'm
damn it, Jordan, just
I'm
take a break.
excited for everybody to see Sibylla because Jordan's first acting role, not behind the camera. He has a part.
Yes,
Character in Sibylla.
that's awesome. That's great. I think you'll do great. So I'm excited to
He
see
did.
that. Yeah. Well, you know,
He
you.
did awesome.
I have no doubt about that. He's like Shan said, he really is a jack of all trades. I mean, he was absolutely invaluable to us, like on Blood Summer Camp too. He came up with some really great ideas for some good ideas for some shots that we weren't thinking about at first. He's like, because he knew we were doing a '90s style, and he goes, "Well, this is would be kind of really nice." Which I was like, "Oh my god, that's actually a great idea. That's brilliant. Let's do it." And yeah, he got some really, really, really good footage. I
Good.
hear about him. Anyone who can get him, you are very, very lucky to have him on your team. That's all I can say to anyone out there who
Absolutely.
with him or has the opportunity. Take it.
Definitely. As you guys have a great, like, it's almost like a family out there, like Matt Burns and everybody that's just out there making this stuff together, and whatnot. And I just love that. Like I love that it's a community,
Oh,
and it feels like I want to say it's a dysfunctional family, a little bit, but
it has
you
its.
know,
I mean,
it, what family isn't dysfunctional, really? I mean, show me a perfect family, Even the Partridge Family had issues, you know.
exactly.
So, the Brady Bunch, that's not real, Step by
Mark,
Step. Now that's real.
We're all doing the same thing. We're all supporting each other. And that's what is like the main thing. Like, you got your couple of bad apples. I will not name names,
yeah.
but that are in it all for themselves and expect everything and expect all your money, and you're not going to get that from me. That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
But there's so many great people like in this community. I mean, Michael, Dave Kerr, Matt Burns, Jordan, Jesse Green, Russell State, like all these people that we work with on a regular basis, Shonda, Kay, just people that are going to be, lifelong friends.
Oh
Hmm.
no, I mean, and they're always out there. They're always working their asses off.
Mhm.
I completely agree with Shannon on every one of those. Like, and there really is so many really great talent in the area too. And that's what's so great. And that's also what's great about all of us being able to do some networking together because you get to see a lot of that great talent. And it might inspire you for something that you have.
Hmm.
And stuff. Like I saw like someone like like I think it was Bonesaw, like he was announcing about Shonda was coming, and in his post he even said like Shonda got her attention started via through Bloody Summer Camp, and that is very awesome to hear. Like that is a very honorable thing to
Mhm.
hear, knowing like, oh hey, we paved the way for somebody like to go on to to really pursue her dream. And we were that first step to helping her get that way. I mean, that is one of the greatest things I can see, because I've even said this to any of my acting friends, because I do some acting too, obviously, but I'm more like nowadays I'm more of the producer than I am anything else. I do small roles in most of the films, but nothing too crazy. But uh if I can see any of our actors go on to bigger, better things, or I get to see them on the big screen and edit things, then I'm happy, and I'm so excited
Hmm.
uh, for all of them because that's what I want. In end of the day, like I want to be able to make the films that I like to make, and the people I get to work with, or any of the people I know, even I want them to be able to succeed on what they want to do as well.
Exactly. Well, I think was that after we done with Tucker and Jail versus Evil? Like
We got that beaten back.
I mean, we at least at the end is when we went off, but I love it. We always do this,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think even Shannon knows this by now. But thank you for picking this, Mike, because this was a lot of fun. Next month I already have it planned out. I want to do Feast next month.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
it's been.
that's on Tubi, so I wanna hit that up, and I love that it's a Project Greenlight, project, uh-oh, Mike's getting up. For those people who can't see it but can only hear this, Mike's getting up and grabbing something
Oh,
off the.
no worries. I'm
Because of
Oh,
course he
nice.
has it.
Of course he has all three of them.
I got the trilogy.
Yeah, so there you go. You don't even need to watch it on Tubi. You can watch it on your own DVD. And because I don't think it's on Blu-ray yet, you
I
know.
don't think it is either. I mean, yeah, I got my own DVD, but I started off like when the DVDs came out. I went on that craze really early on. Ironically enough, I actually still remember the very first Blu-ray. Oh no, sorry, the very first DVD I ever bought. Actually, I bought two at the same time. The very first one I got, which makes it even more fun and crazy, was actually Scary Movie. That was my very first DVD I ever bought,
Oh.
and
Nice.
right along with it was my another very 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 big favorite of mine, which was the original, not the remake because that remake is horrible, but the original Flatliners with Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts. I love that film. I thought it was so well written and done, and like I loved like the whole like idea of it and the whole story of it about being able to flatline for a few moments to actually
Hmm.
cross the side just to be able to medically get put back, and they did it enough to make you believe that hmm could that maybe work?
Hmm.
Madeline and I may do that for 90s horror at some point, because that's a 90s horror film, So, but if we do, we'll invite you to come on, Mike,
Dude,
because
like that.
I know that's a movie you love. So,
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland was like one of my favorite actors during that era. I mean, that Young Guns, I was diehard
Lost Boys. I mean,
Lost
he's
Boys.
Stand By Me. A lot of people forget he was in Stand
Oh,
By Me.
he was such a great villain, and
That is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
Love,
it's a
love,
great
love
movie.
Stand
It's
By Me.
We were supposed to do it for Film Freaks with my friend Liz, and unfortunately, like she had to call out at the last minute, and just we didn't do it, or whatever, which kind of sucked. But we were planning to do it again, and then just that never happened. Uh, Happens like that sometimes, where you plan to do something, doesn't happen, then you plan to reschedule and still doesn't happen. So you're just like, yeah. So maybe we'll have you come on at some point or something. Maybe both if she can get. We'll have you come on, and if she doesn't come on, we at least still have you on. So we like to have guests on our shows if we can, or whatever.
also
Uh,
I think it should be a new thing. Like, you know what? With right now, seeing because like we've already kind of started going when you really think about it, because like you wanted to bring Mary Kate on
yep.
for your episode, and I actually wanted to bring Shannon on for my episode.
So
So
I'll bring on somebody on for next one, a new person. I want to keep it different people, but like Shannon's been on a few of my shows already, and
Hmm.
she'll probably be on more if she's interested. I don't know.
hell yeah.
Yeah, I think because I think Amanda, Megan, and I are doing one, right?
That's right. You're right. We've got one going up with that, and then yeah, there'll be more stuff. Like,
What movie did y'all cover?
well, we covered us two covered something for 31. It was like the tow
Oh
truck
gosh.
driving one. I
Six
forgot.
Wheels to Hell
Six Wheels
and
to Hell, yeah.
also Ice Twisters.
Ice Twisters we did for Indie Film Cafe. And so we did those two. And then this. And then we're gonna do one with Amanda in January at some point for 31 days of indie horror, bringing that back,
Oh,
and stuff.
cool.
Yeah, well, my plan for I guess I can say this now, but my plan for the because that's gonna be like I think season 5, and I think I'm sort of taking a break after season 5 because like I've been doing way too much and shit, and not. You talk about Jordan being busy. I'm fucking being busy with way too many podcasts, and now I've got film stuff going on. Even Shannon and I are working on a project together and stuff too. So I mean, like it's just busy, right now and everything. But I still want to do, finish up 31 days of Indie Horror, at least give one more season and then either come back to it someday or not. And what I'm thinking to go all out is to have two guests instead of. And I tried this once and then I just lost my mind and didn't whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stick to it. Two guests per episode and I can do it because so many people ask to come on the shows and I just never can have everybody. But now I think I can, especially if we get them on, horror film lovers or 90s horror or 80s. Well, if 80s horror ever really keeps going, my co-host for that is Rebecca Reinhardt, and I love her to death, but she's always super busy with like a billion things going on too. And she keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I'll be able to do it." And then, this week she was like, "I can't do it this month." And I'm like, "Great. All right, we'll do it next month, hopefully." But that one's been that's the one I've been having the most troubles with just because she's busy acting or directing or whatever. And we all, how that is,
And
I
we
think
all have lives.
we took a break for a little bit, right? You and Mike and you and me, Mike, we took a break from horror film lovers from like May to like November, like because you were shooting, Bloody Summer Camp 2, so you couldn't do the podcast, or whatever.
I know
Uh,
like we told me that I was like, oh my god, that's like perfect because like it's like that'll be done and I can come back and I have all that like in my rear view mirror now. It's like it's done, it's over with, like it's out of my hands, it's on to the next people's hands,
mhm.
so I can actually just focus on something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love having you back on this because, and I think we're gonna have a lot of episodes on this, just to tackle that next year and stuff. So it'll be fun.
Oh,
Um,
really, man. Well, I always enjoy doing these with you. You and I always have these very fun, long conversations. Like about all these movies, and then as Shannon has seen firsthand, and he wasn't lying when he said before, this is a normal scene of us going off the beaten
Uh-huh.
path. If you watch any of our episodes, it always happens where we were on topic in the beginning, and then we
Yep.
yeah,
veer
we
off,
actually did pretty good today. I'm not gonna lie.
way off.
Like we did good up until the end where it was already, I think we'd already talked for like an hour of it anyway. So like, I mean, we did pretty good. I mean, it happens.
It was just one of our better showings. I mean, I remember one of the ones we did. I was like, I think we only talked about the film for like 5 minutes, and we had to go back and start talking some more about it.
Yeah, there was one Hollywood Boulevard podcast where the co-host Alfred got mad because we didn't talk about the movie like as much as he wanted, and he was like, "I want to redo that." I'm like, "We can't. We have no time. We have to move on to the next one." So I think he does want to redo it. I think we may redo it at some point or something, but I think it was God, I forgot which one it was. That's the problem. I don't even remember I did any of these. That's why I have to write them all down. And then I can be like, oh yeah, we already covered this, or whatever, you know.
Although I
The-
was kind of thinking about it a little bit, and like I think there was one movie I think we stayed on topic the whole time, and that's because we both were just like an utter like uh about the movie.
What movie was that?
Time traveling like space fan.
Oh, yeah, that one. Well, yeah, I don't think that one we could have really gone off about any much. Well, I mean, sometimes we do that if we don't like the movie. But like Shannon and I for the Six Wheels from Hell, we definitely stayed on topic and we kept bringing up a lot of the same crap that was just bothering us the whole time, from
Have you
that
seen
movie.
that one?
I have not seen that one yet, but you have definitely colored me curious.
Trust me, it'll make you go, why did they do that? A lot. Like why, like what was their decision making thing for it? And I think the director like friended me as a friend on Facebook and stuff, and I'm like, oh God, he
Uh,
saw that review. He's probably not my friend anymore.
he's probably not a fan of either one of us now.
Which is why this is why I created Horror Film Lovers, by the way, because Paul would get me to do a lot of these really bad movies, and I just don't like watching them all the time, because it just it's hard. So I was like, I want to talk about movies I actually like, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil or Feast
I was
or
so excited when I knew we were doing this one. Even if it would have been something else, I was like, oh God, what do I need to watch now? Because
yeah, exactly.
Six Wheels from Hell is terrible. It's just terrible.
And
I feel
Ice
bad
Twisters
saying
was
that about indie film, but
Ice Twisters wasn't much better, and that had a
no,
bigger budget,
no,
So
no.
like, there's some movies out there that you think sound great, like I want to see. There's a movie called Monster NATO. I want to see that, but I know it's gonna be bad. There's like a shark in it, or whatever that,
Yep.
and that I want to see it. I just know it's gonna be.
Sharknado?
It's called Monster NATO, and there's still
Mm-mm.
sharks in the thing or whatever. I don't know. And my friend Madeline Daring, that I don't know if you know her, Shannon, but Mike and I, she does my 90s horror show, or co-hosts that with me. And she was posting about it, and she was like really excited because Mountain Shark is the same shark, basically, like template or that they did for Monster NATO, the shark in that. So awesome, you know, just like these movies that people just are like, well, people like that, like they like the Amityville stuff, they like the shark stuff, they like all these things. So let's go and make a billion of them. And some are okay, and
Where do you
some
draw the line?
Yeah.
you,
Where do
in the indie world there's no line, you know? Like it lets everybody just does what they want to do. It's like the Wild West, you know? Because you can, you know?
You hit the head on the nail with, especially with indie horror. Indie horror really is the Wild West. It really is. Like, oh man, God, I don't think there's a more perfect analogy than that, actually.
just because you can does not mean you should.
Exactly.
Like
This is
taking all of our childhood Disney,
It's
turning it
very
into horror. I kid you not. I think it was Matt Burns that sent me a link tonight. They're making Teeth the musical.
much.
What?
You know what? I'm borderline curious to see
I'm
I
borderline curious too. That makes
I
me mad.
I can't wait to see
I'm
Rubber
gonna end
the
up watching this.
I can't wait to see Rubber the musical next. You
uh,
know?
I mean,
Like
I'm just thinking of like, what songs is that girl going to have to sing for teeth to get that one across? And better yet, I'm sorry, I don't care. I'm going to go there. Which ones are singing?
Exactly. Exactly.
no idea. Oh my goodness.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
keep it gentleman, but sometimes my mind just says it just has to ask.
Well, but I was thinking the same thing. I was just like, this is
I,
gonna be
Or are they going to do a duet?
I- how about they do It Follows the musical? Like, you know? I don't know, like nowadays you could just put anything. And like they had a Mormon musical, you know, done by Matt and Trey from South Park. Like, I mean, why not? And that went on Broadway.
they're gonna do a Lost Boys musical.
They are?
Yeah, because they can't get the rights to make another movie.
Wait, what? Why can't they get the rights to another movie?
They can't get the rights to make another remake. Like they wanted to remake the original Lost Boys.
Hmm.
Oh
They
yeah.
are not allowed to do it.
So, but
We
they
have
can do a
part two, we
musical?
have part three. I don't even know if we have a part four,
I don't
but
think we do.
they
I think it's only three.
cannot remake the original.
Hmm. No, and the part two, I think part two or three or whatever had Corey Haim, and that was like one of his last roles, you know, or whatever. Kind of sucks, you know.
Yeah.
I always wanted to meet him. Corey Feldman is like he's a friend of mine on Facebook,
Oh,
you know.
great.
Like he's a little kooky, but you know, hey, I,
He's not the nicest to his fans either, from what
I've heard that, and I've heard he's
I've seen.
also
Oh well, I've seen and heard a few occasions firsthand. My wife and Amber went and met him. He wasn't very nice to either one of them.
Ah, that's no.
that's a bummer. I mean, because everybody's first, like, you know, you should always be nice to everybody, especially your fans, you know.
Oh, actually, I'll throw it down. They paid extra. He charges extra for it not to be personalized, and she and my wife did that, and he didn't care. He's like, "Well, what's your name?" He goes, "This is Jamie." He goes, "Fine, whatever." And he wrote to Joe, and this is on her Goonies map that she had other autographs on, and everybody people signed it,
That's
and everything,
mean.
and it was ruined. So she had
Yeah,
to buy a new one, and she started
Oh,
crash, and she's just not going to bother with him anymore now.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I'm
Eh,
sorry. I didn't want to bring that up, but
Well,
it
I
was that it was one of the few rare like celebrity occasions where I'm like, yeah, like never again will I ever give you any of my money.
well, you know, so everybody kept saying the same thing about Tom Savini, that like he was terrible with his fans, and so I went to Texas Frightmare and I was kind of scared to like approach him because of that. And he was the nicest to me like there. And then we went to the elevator, right? And he was a little more ruder to me in the elevator. And I was like,
Tom Savini is a germaphobe. Big time.
oh, so that
Big,
might be it.
big, big time. He is a
Okay.
sweet man, so nice. I've met him several times. Um,
Okay.
but he is a germaphobe. He does not want to be touched. He does not want to be in close contact. He's
Yep.
not trying to be rude, but he really is.
Yeah, and like what normally could be considered rude by some people or whatever, sometimes so some people should probably be, understand like people like there are a lot of people. There's Howie Mandel is very germophobic, and everything. He
Oh
just like
yeah.
that. What is it?
Adam Green is a big germaphobe.
I did not know that. But I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
There was the guy that played Sam and Dean's father in uh Mitch
Oh,
Pal
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
no, it's Mitch Pal is Mitch Pileggi or something.
Oh,
He's in Mitch Pileggi. Yeah, he was in was it X-Files and Shocker and a ton of other movies and stuff. But I went to go shake his hand when he was leaving, to go someplace, and he went like this, right?
Yeah.
And then he was like, or no, he went like this. He went just did a fist bump, and he said, "Sorry, man, there are a lot of germs flying around here. I just don't want to, I'm not trying to be rude." And so I thought that was very cool. Like, I mean, who can, like I told them I was a huge fan of him from Supernatural. It's like one of my favorite shows. So like, like I got to fist bump him. That's actually
Mhm.
cooler than shaking his hand, or whatever, to me. So it's neat. So it just depends on how you sort of react, If you are that big of a germaphobe and you're going into an elevator, my suggestion, especially if it's a packed elevator, is just be nice and don't go in there if you don't feel comfortable, or but even then, people might think you're rude because they might think, oh, you don't want to share the elevator with us. No, well, you know what I mean? Like you're never gonna win with a lot of
Didn't
these
care too
things.
much.
So yeah.
Just
Yeah, exactly. Just go out there, have fun, meet people, and if yeah, and don't listen to everybody says. Like if somebody, you might have had a bad experience, other people might have had a bad experience on people. You may not, you know, like you know what I mean? And I can't get mad when somebody was actually pretty nice to me, or whatever. I haven't met Corey Feldman, so I don't know. I would hope he'd be nice to me, but maybe he wouldn't, you know.
I mean, you just don't know, and I mean sometimes you just catch him on the wrong day because the times to me, I've always heard mixed. I've heard some people rave how he's the nicest guy in the world, and well, but one thing I think I've heard a lot of people say about him though too is like in his earlier years he was a little meaner, but I think he had some kind of health scare, and after that happened, he kind of lightened up a lot more and became like more like easygoing and stuff, and now he's a lot more approachable. Because I mean, I actually I met him at it was a Mad Monster Party, I think it was like
Mm.
2 3 years ago. And yeah, he was actually really nice. Matter of fact, I think he almost gave poor Amber a heart attack actually because he was roaming around because like he lay school around and roams on the table, and he came by our table because we had a table there and we had our laptop up and was showing some of the kills and some of the effects works that we've done in some of our movies. And he walked by and he saw the face peel from Go Away, and he stopped and goes, "Hey, that's actually pretty good." And you see Amber just like, like God,
Tom
someone.
Savini is saying good things about your makeup,
Yeah,
like he has his own effects,
dude. Yeah,
school,
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, no, and like that is like Savini is one of her godfathers in her mind. So to
There
hear
you go. I would imagine that she would have been like, oh, that's the hugest compliment somebody can get,
yeah.
period. So
yeah,
I love that.
hey.
Yeah, there you go. And so like I've heard different things and now I hear good things about, Tom. So that makes me feel a little better because I mean, when I first met him, he was very approachable, very sweet,
Oh yeah,
and everything like that. I mean, I loved him in From Dusk Till Dawn,
oh yeah,
and stuff.
his gun was just
Sex machine.
Sex Machine. I mean, just so I mean, you know what? If I see him again, because I did get a picture with him, He was super cool, whatever. I mean, uh, but like somebody like Tracy Lords, she's all business when you go up there. You don't go and just gab with her. She's like, basically like, oh, are you paying for this thing? Well, no, then, you know, get, like come
Uh,
back when you are, kind of thing, which is
yeah.
fair.
Oh yeah, and some are like that. I mean, I know Cassandra Peterson, Elvira is kind of like that. I did get to meet her, and it was one of those ones where like it definitely felt more like a business kind of style transaction, like like how you would when you meet a lot of celebrities at like the big Comic Cons kind of thing, like kind of feeling. But I also don't want to make it sound like it was a bad thing though either, because she was very nice, very sweet, very pleasant. But
Well,
like we said, if you're not here to do some kind of transaction, then can you move?
She's
well,
got
because
IQ. Yeah,
the
go
other
ahead.
thing is though is that you got to look at the female celebrities to the male celebrities and the weird stuff that happens and the weird people that approach the female celebrities.
Mm,
So you're literally going to be like, okay, what do you need? Like, what are you here for?
Mhm.
Because
all right.
people will stand and they'll stare and they'll make comments and you don't want to deal with it.
I mean, her character has like the cleavage out,
It
and
doesn't
stuff.
matter. She's still a
Well,
person.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like she has that out and people are gonna stare at her, unfortunately. And that happens and and there's really, other than, maybe crowd control or something, you can't really do anything. And so I get it. Like I get that whole, situation and everything and whatnot. Also she's always like whenever I saw her at any of the conventions, she's always full. Like her stuff's like lines,
Oh
around
yeah.
the block. So I get those things of like you don't have time to chit chat with somebody for like 3 minutes when there's you need to get to the next person because you need to either go on your break at some point, you need to get this line through, so I don't get upset if somebody's sort of short with me when they have a big line. um People like Robert England, when
I was
he
going
has a huge line,
to the
he
opposite.
he will grab your neck with the glove
Oh,
and talk like Freddy,
yeah.
or whatever.
And he
But
tells you stories about where is you getting signed. Like I am signed by Camp Crystal Lake sign for because of Freddy versus Jason, and he was telling me a story about how like they actually had Navy SEALs there at the camp for security and stuff. But he said most of the action scenes were generally with like him and I forget the actor. It wasn't Hodder obviously, and it wasn't Derek Mears. It was some other actor who played Jason, but
oh, Ken Kersinger.
yeah, thank you. They both had wetsuits on underneath to help keep them warm and stuff, but they also had a hot tub on set. So
Hmm.
they could jump in there to get a little bit more warmed up and stuff. And during one of their fight scenes, they were getting ready to they're going over their choreography to get ready to get in there, and then everyone's like, "Well, wait a minute, where are the SEALs at? They're supposed to be watching us. Where are they?" And of course, all the three main lead girls were all like, in bikinis in the hot tub, and that's where the SEALs were protecting them to
Oh,
make sure they were okay. They didn't need assistance. Um, but no, he was so awesome. I mean, he would tell you stories about what went on the sets, like when you would get things signed. He was so pleasant, and what I remember because I met him at Mad Monster if anyone are watching this, the security detail who were working that line for him, seriously, you all did a freaking awesome job. They were so fun. They were so pleasant. Like I remember, like I was screwing with one of the security guys. Him and I were just having this fun back and forth and stuff. And they were doing the count lines. Like they were like letting like 20 people like into the main room area to wait in line to get signed. Everyone else had to wait outside in the longer line and stuff. And they're doing counts of 20, and I was screwing with him so much. He was doing it like I could tell something was gonna happen, and I was gonna be numbered 17. And he goes, "Oh yeah, 16, 20." I'm like, wait a minute. He goes, "Oh yeah, you remember that thing about how you said you would be a balancer too, just like me, but when they found out that you had more than two brain cells to rub together, you were disqualified." And I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah, so 20 comes after 16 right now, buddy." I'm like, okay, I deserve that.
Wow. Well, that's I mean,
I mean, they were telling everyone, look, guys, we know the line is taking forever, but look, don't get mad either. When you get in there, you're going to see Robert talking to the guy in front of you for a while. Don't get upset. I promise you, he's going to do the exact same thing for you too.
mm.
And they were right.
Yeah, when I met like Sam Raimi, like they didn't allow me to have like, more than a second with them. So that kind of sucked. It was like it was moving along. So I went and I got my, picture with them. Got to take it with him, and then and then I told him like he was one of my, you know he was my inspiration, and stuff, and he looked at me and goes, "Oh, you're the sweetest, thank you," right. And then that was it, right. And that was awesome, like an awesome exchange, but yeah, there was no, but I was very glad there wasn't like that, because that line was so huge that and I was already nervous. Like there was no other, even Robert England didn't make me nervous. But Sam Raimi, I don't know. It just made me like I just had a pit in my stomach just walking there, and everything. And it's kind of cool, you
I
know.
had the same feeling. And bear in mind, like I actually met him at a con first, and I was nervous as hell. It was Tom Matthews
Oh.
because I was a big Friday the 13th fan. Shannon.
A bad movie.
We're just gonna joke on you about that the whole time. It's okay.
I get it all the time. My best friend, my best friend Danny Eaton is a huge Friday the 13th fan, and we go back and forth all the time. All the time.
But what the funny thing was, like, I thought I got all the butterflies out of me, and then of course we hired him for Go Away, and Dave's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Mike, I'm gonna need you to go pick him up from the airport." I'm like, "Oh God, darn it!" And I was like, "Oh, although thank God, like I can tell you one thing, for the very first time, I was having a hard time keeping the conversational ball rolling." But thank goodness, Tom was really good at picking up the pace for me on that one. Like I said, he was just really close. But I was like, I thought I would get it out of me. But I will say, after like day three of filming with him, it finally left me. I was like, okay, you're actually a really cool guy, and I kind of feel comfortable around you now. Like, I don't feel like that aura of like, oh my god, you're someone who I grew up absolutely loving watching in a lot of my horror movies.
Yeah.
I had the
Uh
same thing with Bill Moseley. I wanted to meet him so bad. I'm such a huge fan of Bill Moseley. And I seen everybody in line and he had cookies. He was giving cookies out. And you can ask Amanda Megan this conversation that I had with myself in this line because I'm diabetic. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, he's giving out these cookies. I can't eat these cookies. I can't have this sugar. And I'm having this conversation like out loud and everybody can hear me because I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? If Bill Moseley gives you a cookie, you take the fucking and
Give
I was
in.
so nervous about the cookie interaction than I was with him once I got up to the table.
Oh my god, he's gonna make me eat a cookie. He's gonna make me eat a cookie. Oh my
it's gonna
god.
make you eat a cookie. Oh God. Um so I had a thing where Matt Burns asked me to be a driver for one of his horror conventions, and I had to pick up the dude from what is it, who was Toxic Avenger in part 2 and 3, um and uh and that dude, I forgot what his name. I'm trying to look it up because John Altamura, and I was like, because Toxic Avenger was not my favorite, or whatever. Like I like it, but it's not, I didn't go goo goo gaga over it. So it wasn't like I was picking up somebody I was a huge fan of or something. But I talked to him, and then he was like, I mean, he was so he's unfortunately he's passed away. He's no longer with us, but like he was saying things to me, and I can't repeat them on here because don't want to sort of say something that's from the dead, or whatever, like something that they said that was, sort of told in private. But he told me a very private story about Lloyd Kaufman and everything. And I was like, yeah, I got scared of him because he told me his like family was, connected, in the mob and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to piss you off, dude. Like, and everything like that. So I was the whole time after he told me that stuff, the whole time if he was like, "Hey, can I get a ride?" I was like, "Yes. Come, I'll take you," because I didn't want to turn the dude down and end up sleeping with the fishes, and stuff. But he was super nice, but super like scary, like and stuff. And I think that's sort of how he was when he did movies and stuff too. Unfortunately, I'm sad he's passed because he passed really young, and it would have been nice to see him still doing stuff, after
Oh
after
yeah.
that. And it was nice. Matt Burns apologized for that because, like, he was a little much for me to have to to have to handle. But I was like, whatever, it's okay. I did my part. I helped him out. I got a free table out of it, so not gonna complain, or whatever. Um, so there you go.
Matt's really good about trying to help pay it forward. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, it's always nice. Like I said, I always like working and helping out Matt. Matt's definitely a great guy, and he's definitely a big staple in the indie horror community. That I feel like a lot of times I don't think he gets the recognition he really probably
Matt
deserves.
Burns is the whole reason I'm here.
Mm. A lot of reason a lot of people are here. I see. He introduces a lot of people into the
And
to the
I didn't want to
world.
do it. You can ask him.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You didn't want to do it, but then when you did do it, you got the bug, you know? And I think that's a lot of what I have to kind of tell people when they're like, "No, I don't want to do this." I'm like, you say you don't want to do it, but then when you do it, you're gonna have such a great time, you're gonna want to do it again. It just happens, I don't think I've ever heard anybody go, "Yeah, I have one actress that that sort of I had her for a small part. She had a great time, like an extra scene. Then I promoted her up to being something else. And then she did it, was very nervous, did the stuff. I thought she was doing great. We called for break for lunch and I never saw her again. She went out to her house to go pick something up supposedly and never returned. And we had to figure out how to do it without that. I think I've told you that story, Michael, on the when we did the Scary Story Slumber Party thing and stuff. And it's it's okay, we figured it out, like that's part of indie filmmaking is, you don't just give up and say, okay, that's it. You look at what you can do, like what can you do to fix this and solve this. And I think that's the biggest deal, now, but I think that about wraps it up. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked for way too long on this stuff, and we stopped talking about the movie that we're here for. So and join us again next month, where Mike and I will be talking about Feast with an unknown guest. I don't have a clue yet. I have a couple ideas of who I want to invite, but you never know. Shannon could have said yes, and then something came up and she wasn't able to do it. You know what I mean? Like that happens all the time,
Oh yeah.
things like that, so we have guests that unfortunately can't make it sometimes, but at least we have each other, Mike,
Exactly.
right? No matter what, the
I'll never leave
show,
you.
I, that's the thing I'm like happy about because
In
like,
my defense, I'm still filming a movie. So
I wasn't saying you would have. I'm just saying like you could have, in your defense, you could have, said that and it would have been fair. I wouldn't have been mad. I don't get mad. I used to get mad because I would, have to figure things out or whatever. But it's just like indie filmmaking. You just figure it out. You either postpone or cancel, so.
I'm a very, very firm believer. If you make a film with absolutely no hiccups and no hurdles, then you did it wrong.
yep.
I wonder what the hiccups and hurdles were on this film. If the director is still listening after all of this that has nothing to do with this
I have
movie.
a feeling there's a lot of I wish they would have showed bloopers for this movie.
Yes.
Because with the comedy and the acting and stuff in it, you can't tell me that it was easy to try to do this movie and keep a straight face.
It keeps straight face, especially when you're like running into stuff or you're dying just randomly and shit like that. Like, no, we're watching people die randomly. That's just so
Yeah.
goofy.
Especially
I
those kind of movies, like because I know the Final Girls had a blooper reel, and I thought that was absolutely hysterical.
Yes.
Yes. I love that movie. God, we did that and I was so happy we reviewed that. I will let you do it. That's another season, do that because I don't want to keep having you bring back all of these movies that we've already covered. We want to get new ones that people they haven't heard us jibber jabber about on this show. But it is nice that we get to do this one again because this is one of my favorite horror comedies. This and like Shaun of the Dead are probably two of my favorite horror comedies. So,
That's also a great classic one right there too.
we did that. You and I already did that one.
Oh yeah, no, that's also one of Jamie's favorites. She like anything that anything that has British humor in it. She's already a
Yes,
big
I
fan.
love Hot Fuzz.
Oh
Hot
yeah,
Fuzz.
I'm with you on that one. Like
Oh,
me and Jimmy have me and Jimmy had that back and forth. She likes Shaun of the Dead more than Hot Fuzz, but I actually like Hot Fuzz more than I
I
like.
did. Yeah, I do too.
Well, Hot Fuzz is more like a slasher too, like has a little slasher stuff into it too. So, and the one I didn't like At World's End.
That's a little
I
different.
yeah,
Different,
it wasn't
different.
as funny, and I think also as a recovering alcoholic, it's really hard to watch movies where like they're just
I
bar
get
hopping, and so and it doesn't trigger me, and it doesn't because I always view I know the ins and outs of movie making that usually it's not real, right? Like usually it's like
It's not real, but it
iced
kind of,
tea,
I don't know. I don't drink either. So
yeah,
when you watch stuff like that, you're just like, that doesn't look fun to me. So
yeah.
then you don't pick up on the comedy really for it.
Yeah, though I did like Shaun of the Dead being at the Winchester, like because I think that
But
was just
because there is, regardless of drinking or not, there's a good bar scene is a good bar scene.
yeah.
That's where a
Now
conversation happens. That's usually where stories are unfold, like the bar scenes, or that's where something ridiculous is going to happen.
now was a beer fest.
I'll
Uh
give that one up. That was a little different. When I watch Beer Fest, I crave a beer. Actually, I'm not.
Really?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't know if you know this, and I got this from the one of the writers, Steve Lemmy. I interviewed him back in the day, and I asked him about like beer fest, like how do you guys do the scene where you're just like pretending to drink beer? And he goes, "Here's the secret. We actually all drank beer, like the beers, while we were doing it." He said, "I don't recommend it." But
Yeah,
we were playing around with that stuff, and they had all the power to do that. You know how much beer they drank? Like, they had to stop production after a while and not be able to do it because nobody could do, the scenes or whatever and stuff like that. And when I heard that, I'm just like, oh my God, that's just awesome. Like I
well,
thank you for
that makes
telling me
sense
that.
at the end of that. Like, all right, sequel is going to be called Weed Fest.
Yeah, Pop Fest. Pop Fest was I would
A
I
break from booze.
maybe that's what they're gonna be, I thought that they'd be doing, but I think they did a sequel to Beer Fest or something or TV show for Beer Fest.
Is
Look
it?
it up. They look it up. They did something like that. It was Beer Fest something or other.
I know they came up with a movie recently. It was that Quasi movie.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no. That's
eh,
different.
it,
That was bad.
it was
Um,
no, like that one, and actually Puddle Cruisers, where like Puddle Cruisers wasn't bad, but you got to take it at face value. That was like one of their first films. They had almost no budget. It was their way of trying to make their own kind of Animal House movie. It wasn't bad, but when you put it up to things like Super Troopers and Club Dread and Beer Fest, like yeah, it falls short.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
even
Th-
Slam, I like Slam and Salmon a lot. I thought that one was actually pretty funny.
I liked Slam and Salmon. I liked even the Dukes of Hazzard movie that they were a part of. Club Dread is amazing.
Oh, that's my
Yeah,
favorite.
I love Club Dread.
I definitely want to do that at some point for horror film lovers because it's such a uh my favorite story with him telling that is that he was on a plane. Steve Lemmy was on a plane with a old lady, this old woman. And this old woman was like, "You look familiar. What have you been in? Are you an actor?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm an actor, writer, producer." She's like, "I thought so. I've seen a movie you were in." And he was like, "Okay, have you seen Puddle Cruiser?" And she's like, "No, no, that's not it. Um, how about Super Troopers? You know, that was their most popular at the time." "No, no, Beer Fest, you know, nope, nope, that's not it." He goes, "Club Dread," and he explains what Club Dread is. She goes, "That's it." And he goes, "Oh, great, you know, I'm a writer. I was the writer, director, or not writer, producer, and actor on that." And she goes, "It sucked." And he goes, uh, "Did you hear the part where I just said I was the, writer and producer of it?" And she was like, "Yeah, I know." And he was like, "Well, okay, well, other than it sucked, what can you like, why did it suck for you? Like, let me hear that." And she said, "I didn't know whether it was a comedy or a horror film, right? Like, I couldn't tell. Like, it was so, at times, it was so funny that like it couldn't be scary, and so scary at times it couldn't be funny, and he goes, "Ah, so that's a good critique of the movie.
Oh,
Maybe this is why it bombed," and stuff. And so I was like, wow, that's actually, yeah, I love that somebody can actually give you a reason why they didn't like it. Some people just say it sucks and then leaves it at
oh
that.
yeah. No, I mean, I kind of wish he still would do this, but like when Dave Kerr made his first movie, Curses, last year. It's like, his main goal was he was going to make sure it wasn't the worst movie in the world you've ever seen. He says it may not be a great movie, it may not be a good movie, but I guarantee it won't be the worst you ever said. And a few people in the comments like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life," and Dave would actually respond back to him like, one, he was like, "I don't believe you. I think you're a fibber." And then on one, he's like, "This is my God, the worst thing I've ever seen." And then one of them, Dave, put a link to Troll 2. He goes, "Watch this and come back and talk to me."
Yeah, exactly.
Troll 2, I mean, Indie Film Cafe, we watch bad movies, or whatever. I
Take real critiques though too, though. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, we brush off. Like no, because some people have made some good, very valid points. Like, like one of the big ones that we did a big ruling on. Like, people complain about with Bloody Summer Camp. Everyone's like, 2 hours. Does it have to be 2 hours? And I'm like, all right, look, I get it. We just had a lot of fun making it. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to cut things sometimes, you
yeah.
know.
I always want to joke with Dave. I was like, man, I'm glad they didn't get the extended. That sounds like two and a
Yeah,
half
but
hours.
Bloody Summer Camp, like, yeah, it's 2 hours, but when you're watching it, it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours.
Right.
It's such a good movie that everything just flows together. So I don't know, when I watch it, and I've watched it a lot, I don't feel like I'm sitting there watching a 2 hour movie.
Oh no, no. And I think I told you that when we did Bloody Summer Camp, that I the time just flew right by. Like that I didn't even realize like I knew it was 2 hours and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, like when I watch a horror film and I see it's 2 hours, I'm like, really, does the movie have to be that way? Like,
It's a
because
fair argument. It
you
really is
know,
a fair argument. I mean, I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, like, could it have been shaved down an hour and a half? Absolutely, it could have. But it was just one of those things. Like, we just had so much fun making it,
mm,
and you know, we didn't want that essence to go away from it. We wanted everyone to know that you could tell that, all right, these people had fun making this film. Like, because I mean, it shows. Like, people who want to be there and people who really want to work on it, it shows on camera. Just the same
Yeah.
as ones who don't want to be there and don't want to work on that project. It will show on camera.
well, I mean, I will say that this guy, there's a guy, I'm not gonna say who it was, but there's a reviewer on Letterboxd that did not like my movie, Scary Story Slumber Party. He gave it a bad review, but he gave yours a 3-star review for Bloody Summer Camp. And he likes Dave Kerr. And I think he actually, helps with the fundings, for the crowdfunders and stuff. Um, he blocked me for whatever reason, probably because he was afraid I would have, I would come after him for the review. And I like when people don't like my movie because it shows that like there are people who do and there are people who don't. Like nobody's gonna ever. There are people who don't like Citizen Kane. and that's viewed as one of the best movies of all time. It's not my favorite movie. It's not my best. I don't think of it as the best movie of all time,
No
but some people do, like everybody's taste is different, you know.
one knows Howard the Duck's the greatest movie ever made. Period.
True. I mean, you can't beat that talking duck, man. Now,
I agree.
I wanted Marvel to do more stuff with the Howard the Duck they had that Seth Green voice.
Oh yeah,
I want more of that. I'm
I
like, why
do.
why isn't there a Howard the Duck movie? I mean, why not? Like remove yeah, like, MCU movie, Like, or why isn't he an Avenger? I don't know. So, are you all right, Mike? You're
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, no. Like mom. We were talking like because I was holding my hand like for a long time. My hand kind of pushed up for a second. I dropped and I flipped around. I was like, oh wait a minute, this isn't the same camera view I had before. So I was trying to fix it to where it was before.
okay.
Now I can see everyone again.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, on that note, hope everybody had a great time listening to this. If you're listening to this still, please give it a like and let us know what you guys think and that you guys actually listened all the way to the end. That'd be awesome. This is way longer than we sometimes we usually go. But actually a lot of these have been longer than typical. The only reason like Madeline and I didn't like we stopped the other day was because she was yawning and it was literally like okay she needs to go to bed so
You know,
uh
I have had a few of those nights where like, what? Oh wow, yeah. You know what? My bed probably really misses me right now.
Yeah.
my dog misses me so I hope you guys enjoyed this join us next month when we do feast and until then everybody have a good one bye
Bye.
Bye.